is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, welcome aboard. Time to rock and roll. Yes, sir. It's a Thursday. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you're loaded with Ethereum. Anyway, welcome aboard. Yes, time to have some fun. You all feeling well? I'm feeling good. We see the chat board is already getting active. Appreciate all of you out there as always. Got a couple guests today on the show. Got some stuff we want to definitely talk about going on in the world of sports. By the way, I want to thank you all because JG just sent me another one. You guys started sending me the milk crate challenge because remember I talked about it yesterday. Well, somebody mentioned it yesterday on the board. I didn't mention it. Somebody mentioned it, and I had no idea what the hell it was. And so a bunch of you started DMing me, whether it's on Instagram like JG just did, or on Twitter or whatever it was. You started sending me videos of people doing it, and then I went on YouTube and I checked it out. And wow, there's some really stupid ass people, you know, with those milk crates. Some of them, man, some of these people wiped out like badly, dude. It is entertaining. I mean, really, right? I mean, in the end, we kind of like watching other people do really stupid things, and we don't care because we look at them and go, well, you're a dumbass. You're the one that's trying to do this. So if you got hurt, it's hard to feel sorry for them. You know what I'm saying? Here's a great example. Hard to feel sorry for Rachel Nichols. You know, I saw the news yesterday that she got canned from ESPN. She's still going to get her salary for the next year, so they're just going to put her on ice. And they took her off the jump and all of that. And I saw that story, and I got to tell you something. I don't feel sorry for Rachel Nichols. She might be a nice woman, maybe. I'm not sure, really, but at least the impression is that she came off like a real bitch, unfortunately. And she's going to have to carry that now. You know, she was very vindictive towards Maria Taylor. And I saw somebody, say, oh, I kind of feel sorry for her because the conversation was private and it was recorded. And yeah, but the intent is there. And so you find out about the real human being in that conversation. And if you're ESPN, you're going, well, this person already, is pissed at us because she doesn't think we hire equally, which they probably don't, but whatever. And then, the way she treated Maria Taylor, that's completely unfair, man. It's the same thing as Sha'Carri Richardson taking shots at the Jamaican girl that won the race. And instead of praising her, because I think her time was the second fastest ever to FloJo. It's like, holy crap. Like, that's fast, and it's give the woman her props, man. She deserves it. And you act like an asshole. And in a way, that's where I don't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Sha'Carri or Rachel Nichols, you're acting vile towards a coworker, a competitor. You're showing a lack of class. And listen, I understand everything that's going on with Rachel. She's the older woman. She's not the better looking woman. And then she's up against a real talent. So not only is Maria Taylor good looking, not only is she incredibly likable, not only does she have a magnetic personality, she's also really good at what she does. Super smooth. And I'm sure Rachel Nichols saw that. And there was a lot of intimidation behind those words. But the problem is there was also a lot of negativity behind those words. Negativity that none of it was deserved. Maria Taylor, if she's getting a job because she's really talented. When you're, and let me just be honest here. When you're a piece of ass, sure, they'll have you hold the beer up on a talk show or something, or maybe they'll have you do some kind of little side thing or all that. But if you're just good looking, you're not going to get those top jobs. You're not going to be the lead host on an NBA broadcast, and you're not going to go to the Olympics, and you're not going to do those. They don't put pieces of ass on that. Okay. Pieces of ass are side things. Like maybe they'll use her as an update person and put a tight shirt on her with a sponsor or something, where the girl knows that she's also being, used because of her looks. Right. It's not the case here. This is at another level. This is where talent takes over. And Maria Taylor's got freaking talent. And there's no doubt that she was intimidated by Maria Taylor and she saw it coming. The other young lady, what's her name? That she does a really good job too. And she's probably going to be the one that's going to get elevated because they're going to eliminate the jump. Obviously, it's so tied to Rachel. They're going to create a new basketball show. And I would imagine that the young lady that that took over on the sidelines and all that stuff, that she does a nice job. And damn it, I'm forgetting her name. She's somebody help me out there. I know one of you out there knows who I'm talking about. And she does a really good job also. I would imagine that she's going to be a big part. And if you're ESPN, I don't know if they give a crap or not. The worst part about this whole mess, actually, is that you lost out on Maria Taylor. Like, it would have been perfect if you could have moved on from Rachel and then you slide Maria Taylor in to take over all those duties and you win, right? Because it might even end up being an upgrade overall, you know? And I got nothing against Rachel. I don't even know her. I remember her when she was down here. She was down here. She even worked for the Sentinel. She was under another name because Rachel Nichols is not her name. Forgot what her real name is. But anyway, so I don't know her. I don't, but it just, she came off. That was a terrible look for her. Terrible look. Look, she gets paid anyway for the next year. Now she'll have to go find a job somewhere else, and she'll eventually find the job somewhere else. It won't be probably on, Fox or ESPN or something, but it might be some other kind of a genre that she can actually take over. But I saw that news yesterday, and I guess since what we were talking when I started off, I guess it kind of led into that, and I sat there and I don't want anybody to lose their job. Okay, it's tough enough as it is. So many of us around the world have lost jobs and businesses and everything due to the pandemic, and I don't really want to see somebody. I don't even want to see even Rachel lose her job. But in this case, I understand, and I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. ESPN did what they were supposed to do, actually. I think in a perfect world, you probably would have blown everybody out right there and then when everything broke. And, you put the young lady in place, which, again, I am brain farting and trying to remember the other young lady that's there in the basketball coverage that does a really good job. And now I'm just like freaking blanking on it. But anyway, so, it just one of those situations. I don't know if you guys saw it or ladies saw the news yesterday, but wish her the best. Hope she's able to recover and get through it all. But, maybe next time, try to be more decent with your fellow, compadres. Try to be a little bit more respectful and give them their due when they deserve it. That's that would be the better way of handling things. And I get it. There was intimidation there from her, but I can't say that I feel sorry for Rachel Nichols today after watching that news. All right. Remember, many ways to chime in on the program. We want you to smash the hell out of the like button. Those of you that are watching right now, if you're podcasting the show, please smash the like button and share the link of the podcast, of the YouTube channel, all of that. We thank you all, of course, for everything. Malika Andrews, thank you. There you go. Nice job by you, Julius. Appreciate you, my man. That's it. Malika Andrews. She'll probably get a lot of the work now, and she does a good job too, by the way. And that's they've been able to unearth, certain people that are actually legitimate, hosts, and that they can actually do the job and they know their stuff. And I think Maria Taylor obviously is one, and there's no doubt Malika also does a really, really good job. She's a hard worker. You can tell she is dedicated to her craft in a big time way. And that bubble time for her was probably priceless of an experience for her to help her out and catapult her. She has had a meteoric rise, as they say, at ESPN, and I'm sure she'll continue to rise. The other just to kind of lead into the other one, by the way, because I was very negative about Sha'Carri Richardson and the way she handled herself uh, after the race and all of that. Well, she continues to show up with no class whatsoever now. Sha'Carri Richardson's Twitter, she ends up liking an offensive tweet of Jamaicans. And it says, not all you Jamaicans still talking crap. It's shit. When you all got to walk barefoot to your coconut stand every day for a living. And she ends up liking that. And so, it's just like, man, I got to tell you, so it's gone from me, feeling bad for her that she got suspended for the weed, that now it's like, now I will go out of my way to actually root against her now. You know what I mean? Because now I'm finding out that she's just a terrible human being. That's all. She's just a punk. That's it. No class, zero class. All right, zero class for Sha'Carri Richardson. I hope she never wins a race again. And she could stand there and brag about the 6th fastest woman ever, and nobody will ever take that away. Good for you. Now get the hell out of here. Enjoy your 15 minutes of fame. Get the hell out. There's plenty of track stars that carried themselves like Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Florence Griffith. And, there are people that know how to carry themselves the right way and be professionals. And this woman is not even close to being a professional. I mean, seriously, dude, it's just like, let it go already. Wow. That's just terrible, man. Just, she is, I'm telling you, I now find myself that if I ever see her racing, I'm just going to watch to hope that she loses. That's it. That's all. I'll be rooting against Sha'Carri Richardson every single time she tries to run. I mean, just have a little class, man. That's all. Just, carry yourself with some kind of professionalism. She has zero professionalism and zero intelligence. I think we're learning that about Sha'Carri Richardson, right? I mean, you're stupid enough to take the edibles. They're going to test you, so they bust you for that. And now you look at how she's acted since. So you could tell that, she's not really the brightest bulb in the chandelier, that elevator doesn't go to the top floor. Both oars don't hit the water. You got any more you want to add? Steve Chapman, by the way, number 1 in on the chat board. Ryan AP says, fins up. You know it, baby. R. Carrillo says, good morning, Big O. I haven't been this excited about a fin season since 84. And then he says, hit that like button. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I can't wait for this season. Good thing is, as we kept talking about it throughout the offseason, we're getting closer and closer and closer, man. And this weekend will be the final game. And then we got probably that'll be the longest, 12 days or whatever it is, 11 days till the game. It's probably going to be the longest, 2 weeks of our lives waiting for that New England game. I cannot wait, man. It's going to be so awesome. We're going to be over at Sports Grill, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to be calling that game and, pre and post game, and having some fun with it, man. It's going to be awesome. Jamie Zorrilla is in. Omar Lopez. Steve Chapman says, how goes it, Omar? So there you go. We got him going back and forth with each other. Rich V, Isais, in GP Trap, NorCal, JG, Ian from Brooklyn, Tommy in Hialeah, Duke Tomlinson, Gus 1388, Catrachos 1978, Antonio Gutierrez. Joel Love says, yep, same reason you laugh when someone gets hurt, but pissed when it's you. Well, yeah, you're pissed, but I mean, do you really get pissed at yourself when you fall off a box of crates? You might get pissed that you're injured, but you gotta be smart. See, this reminds me of young people now and us older folks, right? Last 20 years, you put a beating on your kid, they call social services. And the kid will make up 80 excuses why, they didn't deserve it. The difference is when we were young, we'd get our asses kicked. We'd cry, whatever. Your friends would make fun of you that your parents kicked your ass. But then in the end, you kind of like, after you recovered from, the smackdown, you're like, yeah, I deserved it. That's the difference. We figured it out. We didn't get, when we got our asses kicked, we were like, well, I mean, I did do that. I stuck the steak in my pocket and I lied to my mom that I ate my steak. Meanwhile, she checked my pockets and she pulled out una palomilla. And, then it's over. You know what I'm saying? One of my friends did that. I wouldn't ruin a palomilla. I would eat it. But I remember one of my buddies doing that. He had like half the steak left. And see, the thing is, we're not very smart sometimes when we're kids. So when your mom is like, okay, everything well, good. Okay. She goes back to the kitchen. And, Cuban kitchens aren't like 50 yards. They're, 4 feet. They're small kitchens. So you're eating and the kitchen is right next to you. So she'll just turn around and start cooking. Then she looks back like a minute later and the other half of the steak is completely gone. And you're not very smart as a kid. You should have sliced it up in pieces and be putting piece by piece every couple of seconds or minute in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? But my buddy wasn't very smart. He just got half the steak and stuck it in his pocket. Couple beans and rice stuck to it, right? And we're there like, oh, okay, whatever, and she turns around. Adults aren't that stupid. And she goes, well, wait a minute, there was a half a steak there. You already ate your steak. Yeah, Mom, I ate my steak. Really? Let me see. And it was over. He got an ass kicking. But in the end, you knew you deserved the ass kicking. That's the difference. That's all. We could complain. We could bitch. We could cry. We could go into the corner. You could tell, oh, God, I hate my mom. I hate my dad. And then 10 minutes later, it was over. You're out playing in the yard or in the street or whatever. And, you loved your mom. You loved your dad, whatever. It was over. And you're kind of like, yeah, I deserve to get my ass kicked. I spilled the paint in the garage. Yeah, I stuck the palomilla steak in my pocket. Yeah, that kind of, that's the difference, man. That's the difference. So we don't get mad. Back in those days, we got mad for a couple seconds, and then we realized, yeah, I deserve that paddle from the assistant principal. I mean, I probably shouldn't have hit the teacher with the paper when she was turned around drawing on the chalkboard. I get it. I deserve an ass kicking, that kind of stuff. So it's that's the difference. So yeah, if they're pissed, that's you're way off there. You shouldn't be pissed. You tried something incredibly stupid and you got burned. R-Rod is in. Ernie Cabrera is in. Big O, I got me Pitts in my draft last night in the 3rd round. There you go. Feister 83. What did Rachel say? No, she was just she thanked all her producers and said more to come. I guess I'm sure she's gonna have to try to find a job now. Now I don't know if she'll be able to work in that genre for a year because there's a non-compete clause. So I don't know if she's gonna go back to news. Remember, she went to CNN for a short time. Von 94, greetings. Thank you, sir. See, Dola is in. Stefano, buenos dias, Big O. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan under the wing of Greer and our man Tua. I'm with you there, my man. Francisco Garcia in from Jersey. John Rouse is in the house. Steven Gonzalez. Akaris 1, Julius Miami. Her name was Rachel Alexander. That's it. It was Rachel Alexander. That's it. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Thank you, Peister 83. Watch Fox News and Entertainment Net will find her a position. We'll see. I mean, she goes from CNN and then she goes to Fox. It's very possible. You never know. Kenshawn is in. Let's see. What else do we have here? Alexander says, I had no idea she was a punk. I would have thought I'd hear about the Lil Wayne stuff. Yeah, well, that was yesterday. We talked about the Lil Wayne stuff that she liked a tweet that said, that the Jamaican what's it called? Track star that won, that she looks like Lil Wayne. Yeah, it's just a lack of, she's got no class, dude. She's just trash. Howard Stack Johnson is in. Kenshawn says Kevin Samuels talked a lot about the modern woman. Most women think like her. It's just that she's in the limelight. Obligation and narcissism is hemorrhaging that woman's ideals. She's just got no. She's which one are we talking about now? Who are we talking about now? Are we talking about Rachel Nichols, or are we talking about Sha'Carri Richardson? I don't know, because I can both of them go with that statement. So, Kenshawn, you're going to have to clear it up, or maybe now in the end you're thinking about it going, I'm actually talking about both now. Ethereum Elemental says, do you have any places in Orlando you recommend to watch the game? Are you a cigar guy? If you're a cigar guy, go to the Cordoba, what's it called, Cigar Factory. Go to the one in downtown. It's across from a terrific pizzeria. You go to the second floor and get your pizza. Actually, you go to the first floor. You eat in the second floor. They got the dining table. They got New York-style pizza. And actually, they allow you to grab a pie and take it across the street and smoke your cigars. And they have TVs there. Okay? Just in case, if you want to enjoy a cigar. Now, if you don't want to enjoy a cigar, then in Orlando, man, I mean, I can't tell you that I'm this expert in the city of Orlando and what to do. I know on Sand Lake Boulevard, there's a couple of bars on the opposite side of I-4 and International Drive, which I think is west, I believe. And so, I'm sorry, it's north, right? Because the I-4 goes east-west. So it's north, I believe, off of I-4. And you go north on Sand Lake, and there's a bunch of bars there. So you might be able to find something there. Oh, you know what? You could also go to the ESPN Club on Disney's Boardwalk. That's always a cool place to watch. That's actually a really cool place to watch. So there you go. Chess Rockwell says, smashed. Thank you, Chess. I appreciate you, man. Let's see. R. Castillo is in from Cali. Yeah, baby. I'm going to go back to Cali. Going back to Cali. I think so. Eventually. I got to get back there. Got to go hang out in Cali a little bit. Lisa Rose is in the house. I hope you're feeling better, Lisa. She's taking steps forward. She's taking those first few steps off that knee surgery. Let's wish Lisa Rose a quick recovery, ladies and gentlemen. King Short is in. Tremolio is in. Nizzle is in. Rusty Miller is out in Atlanta in the ATL. Rusty, your traffic sucks as much as ours. Holy shit, Atlanta, man. Really cool place to visit, but wow, driving there is a bitch. Lisa says, most women think like her. What the F? Operation Theater says the Big O radio show will be getting into fantasy stats and starts and sits this year. Yeah, I think we'll try to do some fantasy stuff down the line. Yes, I am going to try to work on fantasy because I know you guys have mentioned it. Matthew Owen in, RC Dunn in Iowa. Iowa is in the house. I always love hearing from where you guys are watching and listening. Chess Rockwell says, I have crypto question. Any opinion on Anchor? Anchor's a solid investment. I don't expect it, Anchor, I don't expect it to be Put it this way. If you're going to invest in Anchor, I'd rather you invest in VeChain. I think the potential of VeChain, and right now we're, it's pretty close on what you're paying for each coin. So I would rather go VeChain. I think it's the better investment. Anchor's solid, and I think it'll make it. It's like Zilliqa. I like Zilliqa too, but I have respect for Anchor and Zilliqa. They're good investments, and I think they're slow, steady climbs. Put it that way. I think VeChain, it has not gone parabolic yet. And at any moment, it's going to go parabolic. We've been waiting for it for a little bit. And when it does, when you're here at the 11 cent mark right now, because there's a little bit of a dip, that mother is going to go to 70 cents to $1 by the end of the year, early next year. So what you invest now, you're going to 8-time it down the line when it's all said and done. So I'm more of a VeChain guy than Anchor. I do like Anchor. I'm not telling you to sell your Anchor. I'm just telling you it's probably be patient with Anchor is what I would tell you. It's like Zilliqa. Be patient. Solid investments, but I don't expect them to be game-changing, life-altering, that kind of stuff. Okay? That's what I would tell you. Let's see. Oh, do you think training in Florida heat is an advantage that other teams don't experience, or a disadvantage because it really takes a wear and tear on the body? Oh, no, I think it's a complete advantage. Just like practicing in the cold, my man. It's the same thing. It's a matter of your body being adjusted to it. The wear and tear comes from the hits. That's what wears your body out. That's what messes up your cartilage and your ligaments and your bones, and that's where all the itis is, arthritis and tendonitis and all these itises come in. It's all from the collisions, my friend. It's all from running on turf, all those kind of things. That's what puts the wear and tear. Running in the heat, that's a matter of adjustment. That's all that is. That's not wear and tear. That has nothing to do with it. Just like the cold, same thing. It's a matter of getting used to playing in those kind of environments. And then that gives you the advantage over your competition. So no, I don't believe that it affects you whatsoever as a player. Not at all. I don't look at it that way. So to me, if I'm the Dolphins, and listen, I witnessed it over and over again. Those of us that are old enough, when the Dolphins were good, that 1:00 game, that was always an advantage to the Dolphins in the Orange Bowl. Because their guys trained 2 and 3 a days in the heat. And so when guys from Buffalo or even New York or Cincinnati or, whatever, they come down and they don't have that same kind of humidity, third, fourth quarters, bro, they got their hands on their waists. They're breathing through their mouths heavily, and you have sucked the wind completely out of them. So it is an advantage. And it's the same thing in the cold. The same exact thing. The Bills have the advantage because they were constantly practicing in the cold. So Green Bay, it's the whole frozen tundra thing. It plays with your mind, man, because you're not used to it. And you're in Miami, and you're in Atlanta, and you're in Houston, and you're in Phoenix, and you're in LA, and you're in San Francisco. And all of a sudden, you're going to a place that's ice. And then that changes the body all of a sudden. And it's a whole different thing. So the elements can always be used as an advantage. What wears you down is the game itself, the contact. And it doesn't matter if it's in the heat or in the cold. That contact is the one that's going to wear on you. Every time you hit somebody, that shoulder, that rotator cuff, and you're using your shoulder, that's the wear and tear right there. That's what's happening to most people when it's all said and done. Chess Rockwell from Boogie Nights. Aha, there we go. Let's see. Herman Cueva in. Tremolio in. Operation Theater says Gigabyte is a good one to buy and hold. It's at 0.6 cents. I don't know anything about Gigabyte. I'm gonna have to check it out. I don't know anything, so I would have I can't comment on a coin I don't know. The Heat is in better conditioning, if anything. Yeah, but that's because they make sure that their players are in tip-top condition, not really necessarily the Heat. That's never really an issue in basketball. Eddie Lepp says, good morning, Finn's family. Almost 2 weeks away from opening day. Ricky Perez in. Same goes for the guys up here north in December. Exactly. Yes. Operation. Yes. Which one would you rather be, really hot or really cold? Oh, hot. Hot. Everything's loosened up, man. Cold. Oh God. The hits. Come on. And we all played, when it was cold. Now I know that cold here is not the same as cold up north. Okay. But for us Florida wussies, when it was really, really cold at times, we would go to the park and play. And man, I got to tell you, those hits, you felt those hits every single time. I will admit that. Michael Fernandez says, good morning, Big O. Where will you be for the season opener at New England? We will be at Sports Grill, I believe, in Miami Lakes. Sports Grill in Miami Lakes. Lisa says, can't imagine how visiting players feel that sideline during hot games in Miami. We sat on the sunny side at the last game. Never was so hot in my life. Can't imagine how they feel playing. And remember, they're inside a helmet, pads, everything, so it gets all trapped in there. So yeah, it's screwed up. I'm with you. Maybe the football players need to start. Isn't it that race car drivers have like some lining inside their suit that kind of keeps them cooler or something like that? Isn't there something like that if I'm correct? So maybe maybe NFL players eventually will do that when they're in hot places. They'll use something that helps cool them down or something. I don't know about those technical issues there, but anyway, appreciate all of you. Remember to smash the hell out of the like button. It is incredibly important while you're watching to smash the like button and give us some love. Always appreciate that in a big time way, and it helps the algorithm get going too at the same time. Marlins beat the Nationals yesterday 4-3 and snapped their losing streak, their 8-game losing streak. Alfaro with the game winner. Edward Cabrera looked good, man. Kid looked good. He's got some skills. The Dominican, the right-hander, he's 23 years old, 6'5". Kid looks the part. And when I was watching it last night, I could only sit there and go, please spend money, please spend money, please spend money. That's all I said. I go, damn, you guys can produce some pitchers. Now go get some bats. If you haven't developed a lineup that can actually score runs on a consistent basis, that's why you've lost 8 in a row. That's why you've got a losing record right now. That's why you're threatening 100 losses. You're going to go to 90. And that's depressing as it is already. And that's all I could say last night when I was watching. I was going, okay, you guys have proven to us that you can find some pitchers. And you've done a good job of drafting 4 billion pitchers. So that way, when you hit on them, you've got a load of pitchers. And I get it, you can trade some down the line, but you got to get some bats, man. You got to start selling some hope. It's really nice. Like, the kid had a great outing and he couldn't get a W to show for it. And that's a shame. I mean, it just kind of tough, man. That's the one thing that I'm watching that game, and I'm just hoping for I'm thinking about the future. And I'm going, okay, you guys have pitchers. Now get some hitters. Patrick Corbin, by the way, and Eliezer Hernandez are going to be on the mound tonight. Nationals and Marlins, 7:10 first pitch. But please, Marlins, go spend some money, man. Make baseball hopeful. Make it fun again. grow your fan base. Show them that you actually are committed to winning. Would be really, really nice. That's all they need to do now. That's the last element. Go buy a couple of players. Show people you are committed. Because you've got to buy a couple of bats, and then eventually you're going to have to pay some pitchers down the line, because Lord knows you're developing them. So you're going to have a couple of guys that you're going to want to keep. And remember, Sixto didn't even pitch this year. So think about it. Now you're going to add this kid and Sixto next year, along with Rogers and all these other guys that you have on this team with Pablo and stuff. I mean, this is Alcantara. I mean, this is a hell of a group of pitchers that they have on in this farm system. Awesome. Get some bats, man. Get some bats. That's all I could think of last night. Get me some damn bats. Crazy stuff. Former Kane, Denzel Perriman, ends up getting traded. And remember, a lot of us, yours truly too, Miami always needed linebackers, and that was a guy that a lot of us wanted. And he started off his career with the Chargers really, really well, and then did not get, a long-term contract from the Chargers, and now found himself with the Carolina Panthers last year. Was there for 1 year, and now is getting traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. God, feel bad for the kid that he's going to the Raiders, but how the mighty have fallen too. Raiders have had some injuries, so they had to get a linebacker. Denzel Perriman got traded from the Panthers to the Raiders for a swap of 6th and 7th round picks. That's all they could get for Denzel Perriman, which shows you where he's at as a player now at this point, that he's really not considered a valuable commodity. He's really more considered almost a rotational linebacker is what he's considered now at this point. Remember what I told you about the running back and why they haven't invested early on in a running back on this team, because the thought is most running backs that you draft, you might not even be giving them a second contract. So you're in year 3 of a development of this team. Could have drafted one in the first year, right? They didn't. Developing again in the second year, they didn't. Developing again in the third year, they didn't. And I get the feeling that when they draft a running back in a higher set, I'm not talking about a 5th or 6th or 7th rounder, they could do that anytime. And that's you can still hit on those kind of guys, and you can still find yourself one hell of a player at that position. Don't get me wrong now. But I'm just saying that you now, if they're going to draft a guy high, I think they're going to do it when their team is closer to competing, because that way they can get the best 4 to 5 years out of his body and then decide, well, maybe we'll tag him once and then we'll let him go and he can go into free agency and we're fine and we'll get a compensatory pick for him and we'll move on. That kind of stuff. We're not going to give him a second contract. Because if you draft him in the first round, you can actually grind him out for 5 years, tag him for his 6th, and then let him go. And don't give him a contract in his 7th year. Because really, what are you going to do? Give him a 4 or 5 year deal that he's really not going to probably see the light of day when it's all said and done. And by year 1 or 2 of that deal, you're going to want to get out of it. So you probably draft another guy and just get a compensatory pick for him wherever he goes. So that's why I'm saying that this is why I don't think they've gone for that running back early on. You know what I mean? Crazy. All right. What else do we have going on in the world of sports to talk? And remember, you guys can reach out to us on the YouTube channel. You can send in your questions, your comments on Twitter at Big O Show. I've got my Twitter page open right here, so I can see it. If you if you want to ask me any questions, we do have 2 guests today. David Furones is going to join us at 11 o'clock from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He covers the Miami Dolphins. He works with Omar Kelly. Known David for a while. Did a nice job covering the Canes. Now he's moved over to the Pro Beat. So we're going to bring David on, talk a little Miami Dolphins with him. At 12:30, Michelle Kaufman, who's been breaking stories with Inter Miami, she will join us at 12:30. So we'll talk a little Inter, see if the boys can pick up another victory this weekend. Would be really, really nice. They're going to play a little better competition than they have the last week. But to their credit, man, they took care of business against teams that were winnable, and they got those wins. They're playing a little better than I even expected them to play by this point. You know what I mean? So we'll see how all of this ends up working out. If they can actually continue this role and even maybe make the playoffs, that would be crazy. Big O, I'm hearing 7 receivers being kept, meaning Preston Hollins and Grant makes the cut. Which position depths will you take away to compensate the 7th receiver? I'm not sure they're going to keep 7 yet. You hearing that from Flo? Or is that just another writer that's guessing? You know, I'm not. It's and that hypothetical. What am I going to tell you? To take one less lineman, one less DB, one less running back, one less linebacker? Is that what we're going to, is that the conversation to talk about which is the last linebacker, which is the last DB? I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily an interesting conversation, my brother, when it's all said and done. So I'd like to see first that they're going to keep 7. 7's a lot, man. I don't believe they'll keep 8, but 7. Now, they could keep 7 the first week because Fuller's out. And then when Fuller comes back in week 2, they activate him, and then they either trade or cut that other guy, and they stay at 6. They could, you know? So, yeah, it's 7 with Fuller on suspension, but it might be 6 when Fuller comes back. I don't know what's going to end up happening. And really, the 2 guys that excel on special teams are Hollins and Grant of the backup receivers. So those guys are definitely going to make it. It'll be interesting. We'll see. We'll see if what I say is going to end up happening, which is Albert Wilson's the guy that gets traded and they move on. GP Trap says the Cool Suit Racers has the liquid passing through a unit behind the driver's seat, the size of a medium beer cooler. How to hook a cooler to the back of a total football player would be interesting. Yeah, okay, that's right. So it's something that's constantly being fed. I got you. Okay. All right. Or maybe they do some like frozen type ice stuff that they put inside and then they change it at halftime or something. I don't know. Michael Fernandez says, I'll be seeing you there in Miami Lakes. Thank you. All right, Michael, I look forward to seeing all of you out there, whether it's Miami Lakes or Bird Road, either location. Let's load it up. Let's make that our home. Let's have some fun. Let's eat some great wings, and let's cheer on the Dolphins, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a blast at those locations. Andy Raphael says, Alabama 31, UM 24. Let me talk a little bit about that Alabama situation. And I want to give you something scary for the Miami Hurricanes in that game against Alabama. And I'm talking about, this terrifies me. Okay? I'm not afraid. I am absolutely terrified. So I'm going to ask you something. How many times do you hear Nick Saban bragging about a player that's on the roster? Not a guy that has now left the team and is going to the NFL, and he's got to talk about the player going to the NFL. Of course, he's going to talk up whoever it is that comes out of Alabama. Mac Jones or Minka or Tua or whoever that comes out, pretty much he'll talk up most of those guys. But the unproven, the guy that has never played a down for Alabama football, the guy that's never won a game for Alabama football, do you think he would actually go out of his way to praise the crap out of somebody like that? Normally, no, right? So Bryce Young is the new quarterback for Alabama. I want to read this quotes from Nick Saban when asked about Bryce Young and speaking to reporters. Here's Nick Saban talking about Bryce Young. Bryce has a really good knowledge of the offense. He's a really bright guy. He makes good choices and decisions. He has had a really good feel in the pocket, and he's played really, really well. Stuck in two reallys. Right? I've been pleased with his performance, Saban said. We just got to get people around him to play a little better on a more consistent basis. So it tells you that the dude is not worried about his quarterback, actually. So if maybe the Canes can actually cover, if they could stop the run, and I know they've got a linebacker that weighs about 110, that would be a challenge. But my point is, this guy went out of his way completely to tell everybody that his quarterback's kicking ass. That's scary. Because that's just not Nick Saban. This guy's never done anything in an Alabama uniform. There's no track record from last year that he went and won a bowl game and won the last 5 games of the season. It was Mac Jones that was quarterbacking the team. Kid's completely unproven. Now, I know he's highly recruited and all of that. I know Saban is going after a completely different quarterback, and he started it with Jalen Hurts, and it's continued with Tua and then Mac, and now, obviously, this Bryce Young man. Bryce Young man. Okay. Bryce Young kid, all of a sudden now is the second coming. That's scary stuff, man. That's not what I want to hear leading into. I mean, listen, I'm not expecting the Canes to win at all. I'm just praying and hoping they can keep it within 15 or 20 points. They do that, I'll be impressed. Not impressed with Manny, just impressed overall that they're able to do it. Manny wants to impress me. He makes it a game. Not win, but he makes it a game. Manny wants to impress me. He wins every game after the Alabama game. You can lose that one because you're supposed to, but you better beat North Carolina and everybody else on your schedule. That's the way Manny Diaz can impress me, is by doing that. Let's see if finally the play on the field, the structure of the team, the preparation, all of that matches the hype that we get every single off season with Manny Diaz. From the off season that they had to go, actually trade for him in a way because he had to give $4 million in order to get him. From that hype of that off season to the last 2 off seasons, it's been all hype every time, and none of it has lived up to the hype. So let's hope that they're able to do it. But I saw that, and I'm like, oh, crap. Nick Saban's praising his young quarterback? Are you kidding me? That now I'm nervous. That's what I'm going to tell you. Now I'm really nervous about that. All right. Remember, you can reach out to us on the Yahoo email, bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. YouTube, of course. Those of you watching on the podcast, check us out on YouTube at Big O Radio Show and subscribe and hit the like button. Twitter, Big O Show. And, of course, Cash App or Venmo. The address is Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. If you want to reach out to us at any time there, Cash App or Venmo. Let me see. What else do we have here? Big O, do you think Deshaun Watson's legal troubles saved the Dolphins from making a huge mistake with the loss of draft capital and Watson's high contract to a better option? Richard, who says they were trading for him? You're assuming that they were interested in trading for him. I'm not going to assume that. Everything they've done is to go in the Tua direction. So playing that card, The only people that should play that card are the reporters that, said Miami was interested. But Miami never, ever came out publicly, ever said that they were interested. Miami has made every indication that they are committed to Tua. So the answer to your question is, it's obvious that every team in the NFL is lucky they didn't have to trade for him early, because they would have inherited this mess and the PR mess that comes with it too. Because whoever signs this guy, whoever trades for this guy, once this is all over, the mess continues. The questions will continue. And you're going to be scrutinized back and forth, and you should be. Anybody that trades for Deshaun Watson should be heavily criticized. Okay? Because you're taking on a guy that is really stupid and can get you in a lot of trouble. And we have no idea what kind of issues he may have. Because it doesn't seem to me like he's just a go-lucky guy, regular Joe out there, and he just wanted to get laid, so he called the girl. No, this is 22 that we know of. Remember that. Not every woman that he called and banged or had a sexual relationship with or assaulted, because I don't know what the hell, whether it was, consensual or not, there's a slew of other women. If there's 22 that are doing lawsuits and are coming out in public, there are several others that are either fine with what they did or living their own personal hell of the experience, and they don't want to go through it again. So they don't want to go public. They don't want to go after. They're fine with just letting it go. And how do you know that other lawsuits aren't going to come up? Finally, that somebody a year from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now picks up the courage and says, no, I have to stand up for myself. This guy raped me, 6 years ago. Anybody thought of that? Because to think, it's almost like the Dolphins offensive line. And I know you're going, whoa, that's a hell of an analogy. But I'm just going with the reality, right? The reality is, do you really think there's only 22 women? Right? There's got to be more. And with the Dolphin offensive line, most of you out there aren't thinking reality. Every single one of you are thinking that all 5 draft picks are going to hit for the Miami Dolphins on the offensive line, which I like Chris Greer. I want him in place. I think he's really good. I don't think he's that good. I don't think any general manager is that good. Most Dolphin fans, it's not even only this show brings it up. No writer brings it up. No talk show host brings it up. No TV talking head brings it up. This is the only show that reminds Dolphin fans, hey, guys, they're not going to hit on all 5 draft picks. That's impossible. Nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks Deshaun Watson, is it really only 22? It took them a while just to come forward. How do you know 2 other ones don't come forward 6 months from now, a year from now? Oh, and by the way, if there's settlements for money, maybe that's why they don't want to settle so quickly, because he knows there's more. And if he gives them money, others will come out of the woodwork. Anybody thought of that? That's the problem. We stay in the moment. We don't step back and look at the macro. We stay in the micro. We stay in the moment, and we don't look at the big picture. So whoever trades for Deshaun Watson, you could be getting a troubled person. I'm sorry. You are getting a troubled person. The problem is you don't know when the trouble has ended. Oh, and who said, like I've said before, how do you know he's not going to do it again? How do you know this guy doesn't have a problem? So that's what you got to think of with the Deshaun Watson case. Let's see. Big O, do you think we should sign free agent offensive tackle Rick Wagner? I don't even know him, bro. I have no idea. At this point, I think they got enough. But I don't even know if that guy could even help. I don't even know him, dude. Who is Rick Wagner? Ryan Nunez, they did try to move back into the first mid to select Najee Harris, Big O. Oh yeah, you were in the draft room? Really? You were in that draft room we're trying to trade for Najee Harris? I love how some of you actually think any of these writers have access to Chris Greer and Brian Flores. It's freaking hilarious. Not even Adam Schefter has access to him. And nobody locally does either. But you guys, go ahead. Stay in the mental masturbation. Go ahead and try to, create whatever you want and create. I mean, we do that nowadays, right? We create whatever narrative, right? Oh, the election was rigged, and you got people convincing themselves of that. You know what I'm saying? So convince yourself that they tried to trade for Najee Harris. And why don't you convince yourselves that anybody locally has access to Chris Greer and Brian Flores? Go ahead. Go do that. That's hilarious. They can't even find out who's playing in a preseason game, but they're going to find out that they're trading for Najee Harris. Fantastic, dude. Way to go. Some people will believe anything. Jamie Zorria, running backs and linebackers have a lot of wear and tear. That is why most of them don't make it to the second contract. Yep. Unless they're absolute freaks. That's it. That's it. Clarence Collins says, yo, it's time for the Big O Show. Thank you, sir. Oh, why is no one signing Todd Gurley? He's been healthy the past 2 seasons. No, Cidola, he's not healthy ever again. That guy's done, bro. He's got a knee that's probably bone on bone. That's why they don't sign him. He's done. His knee's done. He plays because he's trying to keep playing, but he's not Todd Gurley anymore. He just has the name Todd Gurley, but he's not really the Todd Gurley that was drafted. That was a beast. That was one of the 3 best running backs in the NFL. He's done. So he isn't healthy. Now, that he hasn't re-injured his deteriorating knee, yes, you are correct, sir. But that doesn't mean he's healthy. You get what I'm saying? The Williams sisters pulled out of the U.S. Open. I mean, we're getting there, dude. It took a while for Father Time to catch up to Federer, right? And he's got the injuries now, and who knows if he's able to come back now at this age. But look how long he's lasted. And look how long Serena's lasted. They're freaks, dude. They're freaks. Eventually, we're going to lose them because we end up losing them all at one point or another. And the Williams sisters are no longer, I mean, Venus hasn't been a force in forever. She occasionally will get a victory or whatever, but she hasn't been a force in a long, long time. But Serena, she was a force up until, probably a couple years ago. Once she got married and motherhood and all that, and that just made her challenge that much tougher, and she got older. She's already a physical phenomenon, and it's finally caught up to her, which is crazy. R.I.P. Alec Kessler. Did he die on this date or something? Is that why you said that? Because that's like out of left field that you would say R.I.P. Alec Kessler. Think Gurley lost a step or two? or 3 or 4 or 5. Agree Wilson should be trade bait. I think that's what's going to happen, Albert Wilson. I'm not right all the time. I'm wrong plenty of times. And maybe I'll be wrong here, but I don't see Albert as a starter. So I don't think that he should be on the roster. I think the guys in the backup are guys that have to help you two ways. And unfortunately, he doesn't do anything on special teams. They need to keep 7 receivers because they're always hurt. They could keep Merritt on the practice squad and stash him there. They might be able to even stash Isaiah Ford there. You don't like wide receiver Wilson? I'm just not impressed with him. I've already said this. You realize he has 700 yards in 2 years with the Dolphins. You realize he's 29. You realize he hasn't scored more than 4 touchdowns in a season. You realize that he's been injured now, right? He had the other injury before with the hip injury, and he dropped out because of COVID last year. So the last 2 years, he's kind of been unreliable too, for injury, dropout, and now injury again. And so because he ran around in camp for 10 days in shorts, all of a sudden he's the second coming. I just don't understand the love affair. That's what I don't understand. We're not talking about a guy that's accomplished. We're not talking about a guy that's been a 1,000-yard receiver or anything like that. We're not talking about a guy that gets 8, 10, 12 touchdowns a season. He's never done that. We're talking about a guy that's never accomplished anything. He's shown some flashes. That's it. And that's the part I don't understand from a lot of people in Dolphin Nation, this dedication, this demand for Albert Wilson when he's done nothing. And he's unreliable. So it's not that I don't like him. It's that I don't believe in anything in him. I can't count on him at all. He's not a difference maker. He's never been a difference maker. This was a signing that, Tannenbaum wanted. I'm just not a believer in Albert Wilson. I've seen enough. He's just a backup and an unreliable backup. And he doesn't even help you out on special teams. They don't use him on special teams. They don't use him as a returner. They don't use him as a flyer. So if he's not helping you and he's not a starter, he can't take the job away from Will Fuller, from Jalen Waddle, from Preston, from Parker, then why do you have him on the roster then? You see what I'm saying? I'm just trying to find the logic behind it. And I don't see the logic behind it. That's my point. Oh, we got Richmond, Webb, and Key Sim in the same draft. Dolphin miracles can't happen. Yeah, but that's 2. Now 5. There's no way you hit on Hunt, Solomon Kinley, Jackson, Eichenberg, and Dieter. There's no effing way. No GM does that. And I told you this already. If Chris Grier hits on all 5 offensive linemen, you give him a 15-year contract and you lock him down and you tell him, dude, you're dying here. You understand that, right? You're going to be working here till you have a walker. Okay? If you got a colostomy bag and you're 110 years old, you're staying here. You're not going anywhere. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's impossible to hit on all 5. And nobody thinks of that. Nobody. Because it's the realism of it. They're going to fail on 2 or 3 of those guys. They're going to hit on 2 or 3 of those guys. But they're not going to hit on all 5. And if they do, Mike, well, we're not worthy, bro. We are not worthy. That's what I'm saying. You're right. You can hit on 2. Hey, by the way, Key Sims and Richmond Webb, Andrew Green, and what was the other guy? Oh, damn it. What was the other guy that they drafted together? And they failed on both guys. Shula missed on both guys. Andrew Green, and what was the other one? Oh, God. Don't say Eddie Blake. It's not Eddie Blake. It's another guy that they drafted with Andrew Green, and he missed on both guys. And they thought that they would hit on both. Billy Milner. Thank you. Thank you, Billy Milner. I said not to say Eddie Blake, and you still came with Eddie Flake Blake. Billy Milner. That was it. So for Richmond Webb and Keith Sims, I give you Andrew Green and Billy Milner. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, we're going to talk a little Miami Dolphins. David Furones does an excellent job of covering the Miami Dolphins on a daily basis. Let's bring him aboard. David, you there? There we go.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good, my brother. How you doing? You doing all right?
Good, good. Here at Dolphins facilities, Brian Flores is going to talk soon, and then we have another practice coming up.
That's right. That's right. All right. So talk to me a little bit. Where are you at? 6, 7, 8 receivers? Because we were having some fun with that. All kinds of people are taking guesses there. Where are you at right now with that?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those numbers, right? I'm thinking, I mean, maybe 7 is the number because when you look at it, all right. Well, obviously Jalen Waddle is going to be in there. Albert Wilson, I know you're talking about. Well, are we going to move him or something? And it's an interesting proposition. I mean, it depends what you can get, especially if you have a guy like Jalen Waddle who can be effective in the slot coming up. So maybe they look at something there. But when you look at Parker, Fuller on the outside, Preston Williams is now getting back healthy. Well, Lynn Bowden made things a little bit easier. He got hurt during training camp. Who am I missing here? Matt Collins. I mean, he's had a great camp and impressive preseason games. Right. Yeah, he's in there. Jakeem Grant, yeah, he brings the return ability too, which maybe Waddle can replace him in that regard too. But Grant is also the Dolphins' all-time leader in that regard. So, so some decisions on hand coming up here. It's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, it's and my reasoning with Wilson is that I don't understand the love affair. Kid has 700 yards in 2 seasons with the Dolphins. Never scored more than 4 touchdowns. Has been unreliable the last couple of years with the injury, dropped out of COVID, and right now he's been injured more than healthy in camp, but yet he ran around for 10 days in shorts, and all of a sudden you got to have him on the roster. And here's my other problem. He doesn't start over Parker. He doesn't start over Preston. He doesn't start over Jalen Waddle, and he doesn't start over Will Fuller. Those are your top 4 receivers. So if he's number 5 and he doesn't help you out on special teams like Matt Collins and Jakeem Grant do, then what? Then he's sitting there waiting to be part of the rotation. That's where I think you just stash a Kirk Merritt on the practice squad if you need a guy like that later on in the season if something happens.
Yeah, and Merritt's another guy who's shown some flashes in camp. But yeah, I mean, Wilson really he stood out early in camp, but obviously, of course, then missing the last couple of weeks and not getting into a preseason game, then that hurts the progress that he made so far this preseason.
As you can see there, but if you're listening on the podcast, which that's obviously the major portion of our audience, at David Furones _ catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Where were you on the Tua front, my brother? Were you a Tua guy? Were you not a Tua guy, and now he's starting to convince you? Where were you before and after now?
Yeah, a little bit on the fence, but more so on the positive side is where I always felt. I think yeah, he had those built-in excuses in year one that you could kind of agree with, that the COVID season impacted his ability to gain rapport in the offense, a new offensive coordinator, the lack of weapons, all those injuries at the end of the year, the offensive line being so young, and then you hope if there's enough strides in all those areas around him. He added Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller into the mix for him, and that his other receivers stay healthy, that his backs can catch the ball out of the backfield. Tight end group looks great. Now he does, and he's now another year removed from that hip injury that ended his college career, that he can throw. He's throwing the ball with more confidence. You see that he's whipping it out there. You can tell he feels better with the way he's throwing it. And then you see that accuracy and anticipation that we all knew and loved from his days at Alabama. You can see that's back as opposed to when as a rookie, he was kind of tentative, it seemed, in the pocket and making those throws.
David, one of the things that I was talking about that I find kind of funny, and either nobody's writing it, I don't think anybody's talking about it on the air except myself. I don't think any national TV guys are talking about it. Any local TV men or women aren't talking about it right now. You realize that they're not going to hit on 5 linemen. We kind of talk about these 5 linemen, and I'm talking about the 5 draft picks. I'm talking about Dieter and Hunt and Solomon Kinley, and then Eichenberg and Jackson. I think people aren't taking into account that 2 or 3 of these guys are going to fail. 2 or 3 of these guys are going to hit. There's no way Chris Greer hits on all 5 of these guys. So it's almost like we're so highly critical and watching these guys from game to game, from practice to practice, and we're like kind of assuming that they're going to win these jobs, and none of us are really assuming that there's actually going to be failure, because the numbers tell you don't hit on all your draft picks. That's just the way it is. And there's no way they're going to hit on all 5 draft picks. And I think people have to kind of be a little bit more prepared for some of the failure that is going to happen at times with some of these guys.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they use so many draft picks on these linemen, because not all of them are going to hit. So, you take your chances, see how many of them do, see how many over the couple seasons develop, and who you can play at which spots, and then you can kind of piece it together from there. Maybe where you find a free agent lineman that you can plug and play somewhere wherever you do have that deficiency. So, I guess that'll be the plan moving forward over the next couple seasons, is see how all these guys develop. And like, for example, Dieter, I mean, after he was kind of the odd man out last year, now he has been the starting center all camp over Matt Skura, the free agent addition that they made. We even had some snapping issues yesterday's practice, like we saw he had in Baltimore with snapping it back to Lamar Jackson. So, so Dieter has been impressive there, and you go from here. And we know Austin Jackson struggled a little bit at left tackle, been up and down. They like Robert Hunt, moving him in at right guard, the way he helps in the running game. So, that'll be the key, is finding where Liam Eichenberg, you play him, because they moved him from right tackle to left guard. Solomon Kinley has been up and down units, so that'll be the thing to watch, is where you can play which guys, and then where you have holes in future seasons.
All right, so now I'm going to put you in the most uncomfortable position on the planet.
As you're known to do.
Exactly. As you know. So, if you had to put your money on it, who are the guys that make it? Out of the 5 guys that you've watched, one you've been able to watch for a couple of years, a couple of them you've only been able to watch for a whole year, and only one kid you've only seen, obviously, in training camp, in Liam Eichenberg. So, out of those 5 guys, who's the guys that in your eyes you think they end up making it, and who are the guys that probably are going to end up maybe either backup rotational guys or out of the mix?
Okay, well, I really like Robert Hunt, so I'd put him in there as making it. Eichenberg, he's still too early to ditch him, obviously, but I mean, I like his potential. So, and he's versatile. A lot of these guys are versatile. I'd say Dieter
and I know what you're doing, and you're going with the Notre Dame bloodlines too, which helps out a lot. So I got you there.
University of Miami grad over here. And Dieter, I mean, I'd say he's stock up right now. Maybe last year I would have had a different answer on him, but he's been impressive this camp. Jackson's the one that's a little bit iffy going forward. And who else do we have? Kinley, he's been up and down uneven. So, but I mean, who's to say these guys can't make that same resurgence like we saw with Dieter going from last year to this year? So, time will tell with those guys.
All right, but you got to make a conviction now. You gave me a breakdown. Which ones make it and which ones don't?
All right, yeah. So for right now, I'd go Hunt, Eichenberg, and Dieter, and then on the other side,
the left side,
right, make it, yeah. Okay. Right, exactly.
Okay, I like that. All right, what do you think happens this weekend against Cincinnati, my brother? I know it's hard also, but do you think they play Tua? I would imagine they're going to play the offensive line a lot because those guys need to work. But Tua, how much does he play this week?
But we're gonna get a good answer, hopefully, from Brian Flores soon. But I mean, he'll probably tell us that. Yeah, no, we're not. He'll probably tell us that. Yeah, that they have a meeting coming up tonight to determine that. That's what we'll hear. But I mean, I would say maybe get him in for one series. Yeah, and then if it's a short series, maybe two. Especially if you can get Parker and Fuller on the field with them, maybe get them some in-game reps, but then get them out of there as soon as you can. Is maybe how I would manage it. And then go ahead and let it be the Jacoby Brissett and Reed Sinnett show after that final game, and let all the end of the roster guys, the guys that are either soon to be cut or on the bubble, let them get their game reps in, so you can make some those final roster determinations on the bubble there.
David Furones, by the way, joining us, Dolphins beat writer for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, like I and many others do, at David Furones _ David, you've been at camp every day now. Who's the guy that's impressed you the most? Who's the guy that maybe came out of nowhere in your eyes and you're like, man, I like this guy a lot. This guy is going to be a nice addition to this team. Who is it?
Well, I guess this guy came out of nowhere 2 years ago, but then dipped back down last year. But I mean, we saw in that preseason game, Sam Eguavoen, 4 sacks, and I mean, how many defensive snaps he played. That was something that was enjoyable to watch. And obviously, I mean, when you have the pass rushing depth and a linebacker where he's going to be playing inside a lot, and usually you get your pass rushing from the outside linebackers, but with these blitzes that Flores and Boyer like to dial up. I mean, we saw Jerome Baker from the inside get 7 sacks last year. Then that's a guy that you could rotate in and out, and a guy that was probably on the bubble earlier, but now has really solidified himself with that game that he had just last week against the Falcons. Yeah, off the top of my head, that might be my number one guy there.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ I know you got to get ready for the press conference, my brother. I appreciate you taking some time. We'll definitely catch up down the line, and we'll bother you as the season goes on. Do you have them making the playoffs is the question. I'll let you out with that one.
Yeah, I'll say yes. I'll say, all right, they were 10-6 last year. I'll say with the 17-game season, they're good for 11-6. 10 wins usually get you in, and there's 7 AFC playoff teams. How did that not work out for them last year? But I'll say this year it does work out.
I'm with you, too. I think they go to the playoffs. I think Tua's going to kick ass this year.
It's time.
I really do. I think he's crafty. I think he's really smart. I think he'll adjust to all of this. And now that he's physically all together now that he wasn't last year, I think that's why you're seeing a different athlete out there right now. And you're seeing a guy that's super comfortable with everything. I expect Tua to have a big year and the Dolphins to go to the playoffs. David, thank you for taking some time, my brother. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it. There you go. David Furones, good stuff there. Appreciate it. He's at camp, and we will carry the press conference. Okay, we will definitely carry the press conference. We're gonna we'll have it ready for you here on the show. And once he hits the podium, he's supposed to hit the podium at 11:30. And once he does, we will then carry it for you, and we will have Flo doing his thing right here for you on the program. All right. So I'm waiting for Flo to take over, and when he does, we will carry it for you on the show. All right, what else do we have here? Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt says, I would keep Wilson as an insurance policy. We haven't seen Fuller yet, but Parker and Preston Williams are always injured, and Wilson's always healthy. They are fragile, and it will be longer this year with playoff implications. In theory, I understand what you're saying, but you're making it sound like Albert Wilson is reliable. Last time I checked, he's missed practice for almost 2 weeks now. And he had a hip injury before. And I know some guy says to me, you keep mentioning Albert dropped out because of COVID. It was a new thing. Everyone was freaking out. Yeah, but most everybody went to the game, went to play football. The people that stepped out for medical reasons, like, they have a family member that has a respiratory issue or something like that. I don't know if I didn't hear anything of Albert Wilson having some kind of a medical issue. That I would understand. Like, there was a basketball player that didn't play because his son has a respiratory issue, and he was afraid that if he catches COVID and brings it home, then his son could be at real risk. That's incredibly understandable. Now, if he had a medical issue, I can understand. But if he didn't, mask up, suck it up, and get it done. That's kind of, I don't know how long you've been following this show. The entire year of the pandemic, while every radio station was stuck inside their homes, we actually were doing 3 and 4 remotes a week, masked up and everything. Early on in the pandemic, I even wore gloves. You can go back and look at some of the YouTube stuff. There's a couple where I have gloves. Now, I watched out. I kept my distance. I washed my hands, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And I wore my mask all over. I mean, when I went to the Green Day concert, I wore double mask. That's it. I'm fine. You mask up, you maintain your distance, you wash your hands. You've got a good shot at staying away from all of this stuff. Now, you're irresponsible. You don't mask up. You don't wash your hands. You're hanging out in crowds and all that. Then, yeah, don't be surprised that you end up with COVID. And then, God forbid, you don't know what happens after that. So he chose to step out. If it was a medical reason, which I've never heard that it was, I just heard he stepped out because of COVID. I got to say, you're also unreliable. That's all. Sorry, man. But, I'm an old school guy, dude. I believe in work. I believe in work. So, I'm just cut from a different cloth overall. I mean, look at stuff that's gone on for me in the last couple of years. Has it stopped me? No, it has not stopped me, and it never will. You know what I mean? Even a pandemic didn't stop me. You know what I'm saying? So if there was a medical reason, that's the only time I give anybody. It's just like the whole mask thing. Don't tell me you can't breathe. Don't give me that pussy ass stuff. I hate when parents do. Oh, my child can't breathe. Look, get the hell out of here. We can all breathe with masks. Okay? Get the hell out of here. Stop being a wuss. All we're doing in this world is creating more wussies, is what we're doing in this world. That's it. That's all we're doing in this world. Creating more wussies. Now, if your kid's got a medical issue, that's different. That's it. But don't tell me that you can't breathe, your kid can't breathe. Get the hell out of here with that crap. Okay? You're an anti-vaxxer, you don't believe in it, just say it already. Don't give me a bullshit excuse. I can't breathe. Oh, it really stops me. No, it doesn't. I saw Garbage and Alanis Morissette. Only about 5% had masks on, but at least it was outdoors. Right. Well, the outdoors, I get it. I get it. But even outdoors, I had double mask on for Green Day. And listen, I'm going to 2 concerts next week. Monday, I'm going to Primus in Orlando. And I don't know, I may be doing the show early on Monday. It might be a really early show, so be prepared. Monday may not be a normal show. It might be an abnormal show. And then Wednesday, I've got the Struts at Revolution Live. And that's a small place. But I'll be double masked. You bet your ass I'm going to be double masked. By the way, you must be masked for the concert up in Orlando for Primus. They already said it. They sent out an email, and you have to have a mask on. The entire not that doesn't matter to me because I'm going to have a mask on anyway. I take it serious. I got 5 stents in my heart. Now, it's not going to stop me from doing stuff, but I will do it, and I will do it the right way. And that's it. And it's worked for me. Everything that they've said, you wear the mask, you wash your hands, you try to maintain distance, and more often than not, you should be all right. And in those kind of situations, I'll wear 2 masks. And I can breathe with 2 masks. Don't tell me you can't breathe with 1. That's a bunch of BS. That's the weakest excuse I've ever heard in my life. Such a soft-ass excuse. Let's see. With that logic, we should have never drafted the safety from Oregon. What logic is that? I'm not exactly sure. Wilson takes care of his father that is immune deficient. Is that true? I don't know if that's true or not. If it's true, then he had every reason to step out. If it's not true, then I'm not with it. Let's see. I would have to look that up, by the way. Mask up and vaccinate, folks. Primus is amazing. Damn right, bro. Damn right. Where was show at Pat? Huh? Oh, you're talking to Pat. Okay. I see. I thought you wouldn't do another concert this year because of the Delta variant. I am not buying any more concerts. These are tickets I bought 2 years ago. All of them. Except for the Struts. I'm sorry. The Struts I got a couple months back. I did get the Struts, but I had the Primus tickets like 2 years ago. I had the Green Day tickets 2 years ago. I have Pearl Jam tickets to Oakland. 2 nights in Oakland, and I'm waiting for them to do it, to reschedule that. I have 2 nights for Pearl Jam in Oakland, and we were supposed to go to both those concerts, and that was the week of the draft. Okay, it was a couple days before the week of the draft. We were going to fly out to Oakland, go to both concerts, then fly into Vegas and do the week of the draft. How crazy is that? I've got like 7 or 8 concerts paid already. So I'm going to go to those concerts. Yeah. And I love the Struts. So I'm going to go, but I'll go double masked. So I will go double mask. I'm not shaking hands. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Not touching my face. You know, I do that. I have a really good chance of not catching a damn thing overall. And I'm not going to get bunched up with everybody in the front. That's the other thing. I'll kind of space out and stay in the back. I've seen the Struts before, but I love the Struts. I'm a huge Struts fan. I got my 3rd shot. I'm blustered up. Oh, you got the booster already? That's the 3rd shot, right? The booster? But I don't think I can get I got shot in March. So that means I can't get a booster till like November, December, correct? Right? Because it's, 7-8 months you have to wait, right? Something like that. So I don't have 7 or 8 months yet. Big O, what's your starting O-line? I'm going to go with the 5 guys you see there now. It's pretty simple. They're not going to change at this point, my brother. They're going to stay with those guys right now. Those that has turned out to be, for now, their best combination. So Jesse will be at the right side. But I think eventually Liam Eichenberg becomes that right tackle. And Jesse should be the 6th man. So says the guy that is expecting all 5 guys to actually, make it, which it's so unrealistic. It really is. We are waiting the coach. Once the coach starts to address the meteors, we will then go to the coach and add it on here. We'll make sure we got it cranked up for you guys and ready to go. So I am just waiting for Brian Flores. Last year when I went to Home Depot, several people said they could not wear a mask because it's their religion. I questioned a store manager. He says that it was true. I called shenanigans on the guy. Yeah, that's a bunch of BS too, that whole religion crap. Give me a break, dude. This is about humanity. Humanity comes in front of everything. The only reason is a medical issue. That's it. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in your cheap excuses. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in looking out for our fellow man and woman. That's what we're doing. We're trying to save each other. That's the problem. But there's too much selfishness, and it's been too politicized. That's all. But you know what's the beauty of all of this is? All of those non-maskers and anti-vaxxers, the crowds are going like this. They're all shrinking. You see them out. Oh, we're out here. There's a protest. There's 20 people. Get the hell out of here. It's not a protest. It's not like it's thousands of people or anything like that. It's a couple of people complaining. They're just loud and obnoxious. Eventually, they'll either catch it or they'll get a vaccine or they'll learn because they'll find out that they won't be able to go anywhere because eventually everything will be, you must be vaccinated. That's just the way it's, that's the direction that we're going. We have to go in that direction. We have no choice. All right, let's go to the coach, okay? Let's get the coach in. He is addressing the meteors. Let's do it. Here we go.
Who play in the kicking game, guys who can cover, guys who can play in a run game. We like them all. I mean, there's a lot of competition there. Try to keep as many as we can because, as you know, with attrition in this league, it's more likely than not that unfortunately somebody will get injured or there'll be a COVID situation or we're going to need as many able bodies as possible. And we like all those guys. You mentioned them all, and it's a good group. They work well together. They work well with their teammates. There's some leadership in that room, I would say, and we'll just continue to work with them. And we'll feel good about whoever comes out of that room making the 53.
Is Tua playing on Sunday? And what can you tell us about the starters and how much they may or may not see action?
Yeah, Tua won't play on Sunday, and we'll probably rest most of the starters. Still going through that as a staff. We got to play with. We have to play the game, so we're not going to rest everybody. So we'll see some guys in there that
O-line.
There'll be some guys in there who'll get an opportunity to showcase, or apply the fundamentals, the techniques, the things we've been talking about the entire training camp. Guys who haven't had as many reps in games, but there'll also be some guys who have played in the previous two games and playing in this one as well. So, but we'll try to rest, most of the, let's call them starters.
The receivers will all be out: Fuller, Parker, Wilson, Preston. Is that correct?
Fuller, Parker. I don't have this in front of me, so I believe Fuller will be out there. Parker will be out there. Again, with all these guys, some are modified. I don't have this in front of me.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Do you expect any of those four guys to participate in the game?
That's still being talked about. I think game reps are important, but we have to determine whether or not we want to get those game reps versus continue to build and improve on a daily basis from a rehab standpoint. And really all four of those guys, we've talked about them. We haven't made a final decision on that yet. As far as today, that's a mistake on my part. I don't have that in front of me. All those guys practiced yesterday. I believe you mentioned that group. I think someone's modified today, though.
Don't play Parker.
I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of
You didn't see him yesterday.
I don't think he mentioned Wilson. Did he?
Yes, he mentioned four. So yes, he probably was.
Parker, Fuller. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Wilson didn't practice yesterday. So Wilson will not be practicing. He didn't practice yesterday. I don't think you were referencing Wilson for the game, right?
We have clarity.
Yeah. Okay.
Brian, was the Lynn Bowden decision a tough one? Because I guess the other alternative would have been keeping alive the possibility of him coming back this year, but that would have tied up a valuable roster spot on the 53. How tough a call was that for you and Chris?
Tough call. I mean, Lynn did some nice things during training camp. Did some nice things at the end of the year last year. Had a good offseason. Did a good job in the spring. Unfortunately, he had the injury, and we felt like that was the best decision for the team. and fortunately, we won't be able to get him back. But it's what we felt was the best thing for the team.
Coach, yesterday Tua talked a little bit about his relationship with Dan Marino and working with him. I was just curious if you could maybe detail a little bit of that relationship and the value of having, an all-time great like Dan talking to Tua.
I mean, it's someone with Dan's experience, his insight, his knowledge of preparation, of being a professional, of playing in this league. I think it's always good for a young quarterback to have someone to bounce some ideas off, get some mentorship from. And Dan's been that for Tua and Jacoby and Reed. It's nice to have someone like that, around the building for those guys to bounce some ideas off, bounce some thoughts off of, and someone who's actually played the position in this league and done it at a high level. So I think that's always good for the player.
You mentioned that the starters won't play. I know that some of the starters. What about the offensive line? One, I don't know if you have enough to make it through a full game with the non-starters, but also there's still competitions going on there. Is that still a position that you're trying to evaluate heading into the Bengals game?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying to evaluate that. I mean, we've got I think I want to say 12 linemen on the roster right now. So, we may or may not rest a couple of those guys. I think, a guy like Jesse Davis, we probably will sit him. The other guys are young, so we're still talking through that one. But I think we have enough depth to be able to, sit one or two other guys. And honestly, that would be kind of the depth that we would have in a regular game. So, if it's 8 or 9 guys. So, we're still, again, like I said earlier, we're working through that. I think those guys, it's a hardworking group. I think there's some guys in the back end who've, earned the right to get some reps, and we're looking forward to seeing them out there on Sunday against Cincinnati.
Where have you seen the most growth from Kirk Merritt since last year to now?
I mean, Kirk's, just from he's grown from a work habit standpoint. I think he knows how, or is learning how to get on a routine, stay on a routine, believe in the routine, and believe in that, the extra work on the jugs and the extra film study and the extra, reps and sets in the weight room will help him and have helped him make improvements. And I think we've seen those improvements on the field, both in practice and in games. And I think he understands that, and if he continues to do those things off the field, and in the classroom, off the field, in the classroom, in the weight room, from a nutrition standpoint, and he'll continue to make those improvements that he's already made. So he's done a nice job, and I'm very pleased with where the growth he's made.
How has Raekwon Davis's summer gone?
I think Raekwon's, his spring, his summer has been good. This is another young player who has become, we've talked a lot about Tua and his growth. I think Raekwon's grown a lot as well, much more comfortable with his surroundings, with his settings, again, with his routine, with how he takes care of his body, the things he eats, how much he sleeps. I think that's something that, Caleb Thornhill and our player engagement group has done a nice job of helping these guys, with their routines, and helping them learn how to be professionals. I think that's something that young players need. They need some guidance on that. I think, as an organization, we try to help them with that as coaches, as, Caleb and his staff, as a training staff, as a strength and conditioning staff. I think those, different groups are kind of coaching these young guys in that area about, what are the best things for you to be the best version of yourself on and off the field. And I think our staff's done a nice job of that. But, we can talk all we want. The players have to take the information and apply it. I think Raekwon's done a nice job of that. And, I think he's making improvement, and we need to continue to make more improvement.
I'd like to ask you a question related to COVID and vaccines, especially since we're getting down to a couple of days before final cuts. We know that there are different things that can come into play where you could lose a player for like 5 days and also lose them at the last minute on game day if they're unvaccinated. They take a test and they come back positive. Given all of that, how much of a factor, if any, will that come when you're making final roster cuts?
I think we're going to keep the best players, vaccinated or unvaccinated. I mean, that's what we want to do. I think that's what's best for the team. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I think we're always going to try to do what's best for the team. I understand the question, and I understand, some of the issues that can arise, but at the end of the day, I think we try to assume that guys are healthy, guys will be out there, and what group of guys is going to help us help our team perform as best as we can, whether they're vaccinated or not. I mean, I think that's the most authentic answer I could give you.
We've seen one team in particular in the state decide to strengthen their restrictions on the road, where they're saying that all players, vaccinated or unvaccinated, cannot leave the team hotel. Are you considering any kind of rules above and beyond what the league's protocols are?
Right now, we're following the league protocols. We really haven't had any discussions like that. But we'll continue to follow league protocols for both vaccinated and unvaccinated on the road, in the locker room, in the dining meal rooms. We'll just continue to follow the NFL protocols, and if we feel a need to go above and beyond, we'll do that. But we have not had those discussions.
I wanted to ask you about your favorite unit, special teams, and when you're cutting down to the 53-man roster, how much say does Danny Cross and his group have in terms of who stays, who goes?
I think that's a big part of the final decisions that we make. The kicking game is obviously a big part of football. And we want to be good in a kicking game. So yeah, those when we're making those final decisions, what a guy can do in on special teams is part of that decision. The more you can do gives you more opportunity to help this team win, or try to win games. And that it definitely comes into play. But I don't think that's just for the Miami Dolphins. I think that's for across the league. A blocked field goal, a big kickoff return, a big punt return, a missed field goal. I mean, those are all plays in the game that if you take them for granted, that'll come back to bite you. So I would say, every team in the league makes the kicking game somewhat of a priority, especially when it comes down to these cuts.
Is there any worry that 3 weeks for the starters between last week and week 1 is too long of a time? And was last year with no preseason games sort of confirm that maybe preseason games don't necessarily translate into the week 1 product being any better or worse?
I mean, I think I could see that argument. I think we'd practice them hard next week and the week after that as well. And again, this is new for everyone. I mean, it is. This is a new. It's 2 weeks too much. I mean, it's the first time there'll be two full weeks. So it's all brand. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. So NFL being such a copycat league, like historically, the 4th preseason game, no starters played now. like the third. Some teams didn't play people in the second. Do you look at all these game now doesn't matter, or do you just really just focus on what's best for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to look at it, is to just focus on our team. What do I think our players need, and just rely on that, because players is different. Our team's different than another team, and that team's different than another team. So what we need is potentially different than what another team needs. And I think when you start trying to just copy what someone else does, when you have different personnel, that may not work. So what we have is the information that we've gathered on our team, the experience we've had with our players, and we use.
Oh my God!
That information.
It's
and try to
frozen.
come up with the week 2. What do we do? Joint practices. I mean, we've definitely spent a lot of time talking about it, and that's not just as a coaching staff. That's everyone's involved there. Medical.
They didn't pay the bills over there because I'm not frozen. Don't blame me. Okay, you're hearing me. See, I'm moving.
How much did
He's
you
not.
weigh Tua's
I'm sorry.
performance? And I guess
He's
really
not.
all the starters.
I thought you were going to ask me how much I weighed. Man, not you, Ruthie. Not you, Ruthie. Don't. I mean, come on.
Sorry. What can I do?
How much did you weigh Tua's performance? And
It's something that I think we probably made the decision before they even played last week. But I thought, last week's performance didn't hurt, I would say.
Now this is frustrating.
But a summer practice schedule in a way with the joint practices and how we were going to play them in games 1 and 2, and felt good about going this route. So I would say last week's game didn't weigh in all that much. So yeah.
Kind of sucks, right? Yeah, it should conclude. The hell, bro? The hell's going on with that crap? All righty. There we go. No more Brian Flores. It's done. It's history. The press conference has concluded. Thank you all out there for tuning in. As always, kind of freezing up there towards the back end a lot. So, how about that? Flo gave us info. No Tua this week, which I'm kind of torn, right? Because I want to see the kid play, and he played so well last week, and he looked so good and so comfortable. It would have been cool to see him. But really, this is the right decision. I don't think you need to see him anymore at this point in the preseason. He needs now regular season work. He needs to see regular season defenses, first team defenses. He needs to see people trying to fool him, all that kind of stuff, so he can then get acclimated to all of it. And it's a beautiful thing because he starts off his first game with Belichick. And obviously Belichick is going to give him so many different looks. And it'll be great because in the second go around, Belichick will give him completely different looks again. And it'll be something that he'll have to adjust to. So really, the next part of his education comes in the regular season. I mean, he looked good in the first 2 outings. He made the one mistake, and that's because he got a little greedy and looked to the right, and he knew he had one-on-one, and he was just going with the numbers, and he should have taken that moment. You could tell that, in a way, when he was late to Shaheen the week before, he was more than on time to Gesicki on the other side of the seam the following week. So he didn't waste any time. He learned his lesson, and he got kind of the same opportunity in another week, and he quickly learned his lesson and got rid of it and got Gesicki right in between a couple of defenders down the seam. So really, in the end, his education needs to start in week 1. And that's why this whole season is going to be so important for a guy like Tua, because he's learned everything he needs to learn off-season wise now. Now he needs to get that game experience in this offense with this team. He's already got some, so he has some familiarity with what the NFL is defensively. But now that he's the full-time starter, now that he's the guy taking all the first-team reps, now that he's the guy that's game planning every week and going up against the scout team and all of that, he's going to have the opportunity to really take that next step forward when it comes to his experience. And then, of course, the obvious one why you don't play him, it's because you also don't want to risk any kind of an injury in a meaningless game when you've got the regular season starting in a couple of weeks. So play the line, and it looks now like Jesse Davis isn't going to play, which makes a lot of sense. Jesse Davis has looked a little banged up. He probably needs some kind of a cleanup job or scope on that knee, probably get it in the offseason. So he's trying to get through it and grind out the season if he can. And why put wear and tear on Jesse? You know who he is and what he is already. It's not like he's really taking another step forward to become some kind of a Pro Bowler or all-pro type player or anything like that. He's kind of what he is, a serviceable lineman that does a solid job. So why not play Liam Eichenberg? And you've been now practicing him at right tackle as the backup right tackle. Now that you moved him over from left guard, and now that Solomon Kinley's kind of locked that up, this gives you an opportunity to play Eichenberg at right tackle. And I would imagine that Greg Little is going to get a lot of the playing time at left tackle in the second half of this game too, or maybe halfway through the second or something. Austin Jackson and company should be playing a quarter to 2 quarters or a quarter and a half or something like that, but they should get the line in there for plenty of time because they need the playing time. Dieter needs the snaps. Hunt needs the snaps. McKinley needs the snaps. Austin Jackson's got to get that experience. So at least I like that. I like that the line is playing, and I love the idea of keeping Jesse Davis out and put Eichenberg in there and get him some important playing time. So it was a shocker. Normally Flo keeps everything like it's top secret, which, I mean, it's preseason. Does it really have to be top secret like he's been the first 2 weeks? Does it really matter? It's preseason, dude. Come on. And I would imagine that Cincinnati's not going to put a lot of their starters in. That's why they were probably like, man, we start putting some of our starters in. They're putting all backups. We're going to put our guys at risk because some overzealous bad backup is trying to make the team and wants to go all out and ends up hurting one of our guys. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. Larry Pena says, I'm glad B-Flow is sitting Tua next week. There's no need to play him. We're going to kick ass. We're going to kick the Patriots' ass week 1. Let's go Fins. I'm with you, Lenny. They're going to win. They're going to beat the Patriots. Ray also says, glad Tua's not playing. You never know, a Bengal player trying to make the team might take a cheap shot on him. You're right. Herman says, Big O, like you say, O-line has to build team chemistry, and I would start Eichenberg at right tackle. That's what it looks like is happening. They're going to start him. The Austin Bills doesn't even sound right. Is that the rumor now, Austin? What is it? Is McConaughey behind the Austin football team? Because, dude, he is crazy about his soccer team. This guy is a great head coach and such a likable person. How can anyone root against this guy? Flores will be a great head coach for a long time to come for us. Too extreme. I'm with you, man. I love Flo, man. I love everything about Flo. He is an incredibly likable person. I'm 1,000% with you on that. And not only is he a likable person, not only does he just completely come off like a great human being, but he's a damn good head coach. Damn good head coach, man. What he's done the first 2 years is absolutely impressive. Austin hipsters sound more appropriate. Yes, Austin is a rumor. Yeah, that's what's out there. I haven't seen that. Wow. I don't I don't want to see the Bills leave Buffalo. I don't. I hope they stay. I hope they figure it out. I wouldn't it's hard for me to imagine the Bills not in Buffalo anymore. You know? And listen, it would be one less place that the Dolphins go to freeze their asses off. And if you're a Dolphins fan, you know, people like Tommy and Hialeah, although for Lisa it would suck because she's so close to Buffalo, she gets to see her Dolphins once a year there, so that would suck. But I will say this, NorCal's another one that I know on the board here. There's a couple of you Dolphins that I know for sure travel and go see road games. A road game to Austin's pretty cool. I gotta say. Okay, all honesty, which I think most of you know where I'm coming from now, what I'm about to say. As some of you know, I'm an enormous music fan. And Austin's a great place for that. So, who knows? If you move to Austin, Bills, just I don't know, I'm not exactly sure when the Austin city limits is, but can we do it that same week? Is it during football season? Can we I can go out the week of the Austin city limits, which is something that's on my bucket list. Kind of like the New Orleans Jazz Festival. I've been dying to go to, and they canceled it now because of COVID. Sucks, man. Those poor people, they've lost out now a couple of years in a row with the Jazz Festival, which brings in millions of dollars. Well, some of the best lineups every year in festivals comes from New Orleans. That New Orleans Jazz Festival, and it's not necessarily jazz. It's called that, but it's not really all jazz. There's plenty of rock and metal and R&B and pop and all kinds of stuff that they mix in. It's not just jazz. You know, but I love that festival because that festival is beastly. But the Austin city limits, I'm not exactly sure when they do it, but I can do that. Miami Kid J says, I live in Dallas, so I wouldn't mind. That's right. So once a year, you can drive to Austin to see the Dolphins. Miami Kid J, you win if that happens. But you win while Lisa loses. See, that's the part that kind of sucks. You know what I'm saying? And isn't Ragin, aren't you the one also in Buffalo? Aren't you up there in Rochester? Close to Lisa? You out there is also that is always on here. I think you're also in that part of the country with Lisa. Herman says, Big O Greer did a heck of a job getting Coach Flores. Chris Collinsworth said that Bill Belichick used to hide him from the media and from other NFL teams. So there we have it. Greer's move. Yeah, but the difference is Greer knows him. That's why. That was the difference. They've been friends for 15 years. So Greer already knew about Flo. He didn't, which is great, this also tells you that this guy does his homework, Chris Greer. Hey, look, I just told you, I've said this over the last couple of weeks. And again, you're not going to get it from any writer. You're not going to get it from any talking head on TV nationally. You're not going to get it from anybody on radio. And if anybody says it, they're all copying me because I'm the only one that has said it. And if anybody repeats it, they got it from this show. Chris Greer is looking to become the only general manager in the history of the Miami Dolphins to find a head coach and a quarterback. That's it, dude. That's all. That's a mic drop moment. It's over. So when you're having that discussion with your buddy and he says, oh, well, Chris Greer sucks, dude. He's been there for 20 years. You just tell, hey, look, dude, if Tua works out, he found Flo in Tua. Shut the hell up already. Name another Dolphin GM that can find a head coach and a quarterback. So if he can find a head coach and a quarterback, I think he can fill out the rest of the team. So that's all you need to know right there. Austin City Bulls. Okay. Big O, remember the 2 cheap shots Jakeem took. So not with playing with the starters this preseason game, nothing to prove. Oh, no, Jakeem doesn't need to prove anything. Yeah, I wouldn't play him either. Zach Taylor and Burrow will play some snaps. Well, yeah, but Burrow needs to play. He has the knee injury, so I kind of get that. Sal Aloha says, yes, rest Tua, then kick the Patriots' butt in week 1. I love Flo too, but let's hold the praise until he brings us some rings. Is that the only reason you get praise? Rings? Seriously? Is that the standard? So you're only a good coach if you get rings. Okay. All right. I certainly don't look at it that way. There's a lot of really good coaches that unfortunately did not win a championship. I just wouldn't do that, man. So the dude that Marv Levy for the Bills is not a great coach because he didn't win it. So he's not a great coach. So Marty Schottenheimer was not a great coach because he didn't win it. Okay. All right. That's very, very, very 2000s and very millennia-ish. But that's fine. I kind of an old school guy. I kind of understand that sometimes there are good people and good players, that unfortunately Ernie Banks didn't celebrate a championship, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't one of the great players of all time. And Walter Payton might have walked away without a damn championship if it wasn't for that 85 Bears team. I didn't need a championship to tell me that Walter Payton was amazing. You know what I mean? I think that's a terrible way of judging players and coaches simply out of championships. Let's wait on the praise. Greer was not allowed to make his own decisions prior to taking over. Now he has full autonomy when it comes to draft picks, and despite all of that, he's done a great job. Actually, Chris Greer has final say on picks. I'm not exactly sure if you know that, but final say. He allows Flo to obviously give his opinion, and if Flo likes a guy, if he agrees with it, he'll go with it. But Greer has final say on personnel. Flo has final say on the roster. That's what it is. Now, both are friends. Both are going to interact. He's going to take advice from Reggie McKenzie. He's going to take advice from Marvin Allen because that's what Chris Greer is. He's a person that his ego doesn't, go over everybody else. But the way things are broken down, Greer has the final say in personnel. Okay? Remember who hired who. Okay? Just understand that part. Oh, what the heck are we doing in Afghanistan, bro? Well, they're about to get out. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? All I know is, dude, let's see. We got people starving. We got tons of people out of work. Some of you are lazy and don't want to work and just taking free money. But normally we have people that are out of work. Our bridges, our roads are falling apart, right? And we spent $2.2 trillion in Afghanistan in 20 years. We lost a lot of lives. For what? For what? They were never, ever going to take hold of their country. They didn't have the balls to stand up to the Taliban. So no matter how much we trained them, no matter what we did for them, we just can't go fighting for them for their entire lives. They have to fend for themselves at one point or another. So get the hell out. A lot that helped you. Maybe that should have been done earlier. That's probably where Biden screwed up. But I agree with Trump and I agree with Biden on this. Get the hell out. Everybody else for the last 20 years, leaving our people there was not the smart thing. I've already talked about this before. I don't want to get too political. we are never going to solve the crisis in the Middle East. We are not going to ever solve any of those religious battles that go on. All right? The Palestinians and the Israelis will never like each other. And it doesn't matter what we do. So get the hell out of their business and let them worry about themselves. What you do is you send a nice, strong message. You F with us in any little bit, we will erase you from the map. And that's it. That's all. That's all you do with these people. But get the hell out. Tired of watching Americans die. And our country, our lakes are drying up. California in the north and the west is on fire. We've got floods all over the place. We've got what happened in Tennessee. People need help, and we're spending $2.2 trillion over there. I think our people in Tennessee can use some of that money from $2.2 trillion. I think we can get more firefighters with $2.2 trillion to kind of put out those fires. You know what I'm saying? I think we could use the $2.2 trillion to maybe try to bring crime down finally in Chicago. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not a Trump guy, but not that he did everything the right way, because he did a lot of things wrong, but his whole thing about make America first, when I see that our country is absolutely perfect and pristine, then maybe we can go spend $1 trillion somewhere else to help somebody else. But while our country's gone to shit, I want the $2.2 trillion here. Okay? I want it here. That's what I want. We got tons of problems, bro. Well, what are we doing trying to fix somebody else's problems? We got plenty. We got idiots in Portland. We got a mayor in Portland that allows people to riot and destroy their city for fun. We got to fix that. Get that idiot out of office. We got another idiot in Seattle that allows a bunch of bums to create an autonomous zone or whatever the hell that thing is and take over a police station. Are you effing kidding me? Okay? Bring me back my $2.2 trillion. Help Americans. Red, white, and fucking blue. I'm taking a break. Hour number 3 is next.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
This is the Big O Show.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back. Hour number 3. Appreciate you all keeping it locked. Lenny says, thanks for explaining the Greer situation, Big O. I guess what I meant to say was that he has the final say. Before, I remembered during the Tannenbaum era, there were too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. Yeah, but in the end, Tannenbaum and Gase had final say on a lot of things. on that team, especially where they spent money and all that. They gave Greer some leeway the last couple of years in the draft. But even that, he was overridden on a couple things in the process. Look, I'm just glad the way it's all structured the right way now. Now you have a general manager that has final say in personnel, and he gets to hire his coach, not Stephen Ross. Stephen Ross just goes and says, hey, he tells him, hey, I'm hiring this guy. And Stephen can say, okay, great. All right, no problem. That's it. He didn't have any control, any say. So Greer gets to hire his coach, and then the coach gets to hire his assistant coaches. And then there's synergy because everybody then works on the same page. There's no more human Jenga where you remove one and you add another to the existing pieces. No. And then Greer went and got his own personnel people to add to the team, like a Reggie McKenzie. Thank you, Raiders, for being incredibly stupid and go with Gruden and let go of a fantastic personnel guy in Reggie McKenzie. And I want to thank the Chiefs, all right, and I want to thank the Falcons. I want to thank them for passing up on Marvin Allen, who has helped both those clubs, and now he's with the Miami Dolphins. And Chris Greer is just incredibly smart to add two great personnel people along with himself. And then you add Flores, that is also a coach that was a scout. Now that's why this foursome has turned this thing around so quickly. Because these guys find talent on the street, undrafted, drafted, trades, you name it. That's how you build a team. You get it from all angles. And all you have all kinds of personnel people there helping you find all of this. For the first time since, I would have to say Jimmy, because I think Jimmy had that synergy. He had it. Now they sucked on offense, drafting and all that stuff, but on defense they were phenomenal, but they were all on the same page. It's once we started with the Wanstead, Spielman, and then everything else that followed after with Ireland and Sperano and Parcells and all the crap that went on, and Mueller and Saban and all that, there was always some fighting. There was always a fight for power. Mueller was in charge, but then Saban takes over. Mueller puts in the work, but Saban then overrides his work. Spielman and Wanstead were fighting for power. Ireland and Sperano, Ireland and Philbin, Parcells, all this crap. That's what went on for years. Gase, Tannenbaum, all these power brokers trying to fight to control the Dolphins. There's, it used to be Shula, and then the hierarchy then goes downward like that. Jimmy had it the right way also. It was his show, and then he had his people. After that, it's been an absolute effing mess. This is the first time since the Shula era and Jimmy that you actually have synergy in the way things are built, because you allowed the guy at the top to make all the football decisions. And that's what it is. You don't have an accountant, a.k.a. Tannenbaum, stuck in the middle of football decisions. You don't have a real estate mogul stuck in the middle of the football decisions. And this is why everything now is kind of working out, and it's in proper context now. Okay? So that's what's going on that makes a ton of effing sense. All right, remember, you can reach out to us on the Yahoo email at Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. YouTube, of course, if you're watching on, if you're listening on the podcast, please search our YouTube channel, Big O Radio Show, and subscribe. Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button, man. We got a bunch of people watching the show. Please smash the hell out of the like button. It is very, very important. The likes right now are not matching the people that are watching. So please give us some love there. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. Follow us there. You can find out about everything going on with the show at Big O Show on Twitter, Big O Show. And then Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. If you want to reach out to us and make a donation on Cash App and Venmo. And remember, if you do have a company that wants to join our show and team up with us as we create the best sports talk here in South Florida, we'd love to partner up with you. Please reach out to me on my DMs. My DMs are open on Twitter. And, of course, you can email me at bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Let's see. What else do I have? Adam Gase was my favorite Jets coach. That's a great line. I love it. I'm with you there, man. I wish they would have kept Adam Gase around for 30 years. Yeah, man, that would be awesome. Karen says, agree. Consistency is also a key when managing a team, and I think they've got it. Imagine if Saban stuck it out. Oh, I don't know if he could have, actually, man. Not the way he was doing things. It was going to be hard for him. He needed to go back to college. He doesn't have the personality to handle men. That's the issue. So from here on out of GM or something doesn't work in the executive side of things, fire everyone and start over. I don't know what you're talking about. So from here on out, so Akaris, so you're the guy that gets married and thinking about divorce. Why would you even bring that up right now? I'm just, curious. The guy took over, eliminated all the cap issues. He found a coach. They won 5 games that first year, which doesn't sound a lot at 5-11, but if you separate it and you look at how young that team was, and after the 0-7 mark, they went 5-4, and they beat the Patriots on a really important game to the Patriots. And then the second year, they win 10 games. They go 10-6. Why would you be thinking this is a part I don't understand about some Dolphin fans. Why are you thinking negative shit at this point? I don't understand that. I really don't get it right now. Why not just enjoy the ride? I keep telling a lot of you this almost every day, or at least a couple times a week. Like, get out of the past already. Leave it alone. This is not the past. This is a completely different regime. The way they're doing things are completely different. Feel good about what's going on. Think about playoffs this year. Why are you already thinking about firing somebody? And Akaris, again, for the 4,000th time, if he hits on Tua and he hits on Flores, you found your GM. The guy will build the rest of the team. You never found a GM that could find a coach and a quarterback. The hardest things to find. The guy found the 2 hardest things in his first 2 seasons. Why are you thinking about firing him? Cap issues that the accountant Tannenbaum created. Yes, sir. Do you think Belichick would be a 6-time Super Bowl winner without Brady? Hell no. I think he would be a mediocre coach without him. I don't know about mediocre, but I don't know if he has a championship. Because if he doesn't have Brady, how do you have a champion? I just saw you without Brady. You couldn't make the playoffs. And let me see if you can do it again this year. The butt fumble is the greatest play in Jets history. I would agree with that. Rich Kotite was definitely my favorite Jets head coach. There's so many to choose from. What drives me nuts is that other Finns chat rooms are ripping on picks that are about to start their second season and had no rookie camps last year. Microwave Society, shaking my head. Yeah, man, that's all over the place. Just like the people that all gave up on Tua. Greer shouldn't put some veterans on should have put some veterans on O-line. They're all young, no leadership or experience on O-line. He could have done that better. Like who? Like who? What kind of big money did you want to spend? Because that's what it's going to take. But they want to develop their own guys. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, actually. So you want to go back to buying players, buying offensive linemen? How does that work out a lot of times? I disagree with you. They won 10 games last year. It's just like I love that whole explanation. They won 10 games last year, the way they're doing things. And if they do make the playoffs this year, what's the problem, dude? Eventually, you'll develop some linemen. And as I've warned you already a couple of times, all 5 of those draft picks are not going to hit. Somebody's going to be swing and miss, man. Big O, that was a question in general. Is it best to do that and clear house in an organization instead of trying to piece together a front office? No, the best thing to do is wipe everything out like I've said for almost 15 to 20 years. Organizational enema. You put a general manager in place, and then you let that person wipe everything out and rebuild it from scratch. And that's what he did. I've been saying that for years. They finally did it. And Chris Greer was the only guy that had the foresight to do it the right way, where he cleaned it out instead of trying to keep some pieces and trying to buy more and trying to use a Band-Aid to fix this and that. And then all you're doing is creating more issues. Buying some big name guys didn't work out, and cleaning up that mess is working out so far, and it's working out so far. Yes, it is. O-line takes longer to develop than any other position group. Amen. Scott Jackson, you got what they say is common sense. Okay? Now, if you find the sense, then you've completed the whole thing. You're all set. You're ready to go. What else did I want to talk about? You saw Sony Michel, by the way. They had to rearrange the trade with the Pats. So he went to the Rams, and he goes for a 6th-round pick in 2022 and a 4th-rounder in 2023. They had to adjust the trade because it was tied to like some performance stuff, and the league did not allow that trade to go through the way it was. I see the Denver Broncos ended up naming Teddy Bridgewater their starter instead of Drew Lock. And I'll tell you this, and I've talked about this a couple times. I think the coach is doing a disservice to his team. And if you're a Broncos fan or if you're the Broncos team, look, Teddy Bridgewater is a phenomenal young man. You want him marrying your daughter, okay? Great young man. Great human being. I always have to preface it because I know that then what comes after is just absolutely, brutal for some people to handle because he's a local kid and because he's such a great young man. He's been through a lot of things. He's just a jag as a quarterback. He's never, ever, ever been a guy that can carry an offense. Every offense he's ever been a part of, it's not explosive. He's just a regular quarterback at best. He's a really smart game manager, is what it is. Teddy's not going to get you in a lot of trouble, but he can't bail you out of anything because he's not that guy. He's never been that guy. He never will be that guy. The Lord never blessed him athletically with what he needs at this level. And for them to name him quarterback, you're basically telling your team, we're not really going to compete on an elite level this year. Because we don't have the guy that's a difference maker. Now, Drew Lock, from what I'm told, actually slightly outplayed Teddy Bridgewater this year. Benjamin Albright thinks he outplayed him. and Mike Kliss thinks he outplayed him. And to me, those two guys know more about what's going on in Denver than anybody else pretty much in the media. I just think they went with the safe pick. Drew Lock is the kid that has electric talent. He's got a whip of an arm. He can make every throw in the book, and he has the potential to play at an incredibly high level. Can he do it? That's the unknown right now, because he's had some moments where he's flashed and he shows you and you're like, whoa, this kid's got some talent. He just has not been able to make it a consistent thing, and he's had an issue with turnovers. And I get it, but there is no upside to Teddy. Zero upside. And that's where I would say that's why you've got to start Drew Lock if you're the Denver Broncos. Give it a chance. If the kid can't get it done, then you can go back to the safe route, the boring route, the average route, and that's Teddy Bridgewater. And you're still not going to get anywhere, but at least you'll play respectable football. You won't be turning over the ball. You won't be giving the opponent the chances to win. You'll have to play like an incredibly, defensive gem, because you're not going to score a lot of points because Teddy's offenses are never explosive. You can look at his numbers. He never has explosive numbers because, unfortunately, the dude above did not give him that skill set. Just didn't give it to him. And I saw the news and I was like, I get what you're doing. You're going the safe route. But that safe route, it's not going to get you anywhere, man. It's just not going to get you anywhere. Let's see. Greer found our head coach and QB in first 2 seasons and in charge while also still building the team and acquiring future draft compensation each year. The dude is a genius. He's done a great job. Leon says, how awesome is the U.S. men's national lineup for the upcoming qualifier? Well, all those young guys, dude. We've got a much better team now, Leon. That's why. No way Karras gets cut. Thank you. What's Karras, dude? He's just a guy. He's all right. I watched him. That's not anything to build on. Okay? Michelle Kaufman will be with us in about 5 minutes. I agree. We finally found our coach in Flores, but Tua pick was not made in a vacuum. Herbert was clearly the better QB before, during, and after the draft. Well, whatever you want to say, Guillermo. If he was clearly, then they would have taken him earlier than the 6th pick, right? If he was that guy, then they would have, but he wasn't. So we'll see. Time will answer all when it comes to, and I'm sure that if Tua somehow now becomes the better quarterback, Guillermo, we'll never hear from you again. After you've made that declaration, nobody's going to track you down and say, hey, Guillermo, you said this, so it's good. It's all right to throw out those kind of declarations. Listeners and people do it all the time. Nobody's tracking what you're saying. So don't worry about it. Nobody gets to come back at you. It's all good, bro. It's all good. Just like the people that gave up on Gesicki. You're probably that dude, Guillermo. You gave up on Gesicki, and you thought he sucked. And now in year 2 and 3, he makes you and others look like complete shit. And, nobody kept up with it because nobody cared about what you said about Gesicki. So I get it, my man. Just throw it out there. It might stick. Do it the pro football talk way. Let's just throw shit out there. You start Teddy, it's his spot to lose. Easy to bench the veteran in the middle of the year. Same situation with Cam in New England. No, actually, it's not. Teddy Bridgewater is a backup quarterback in the NFL. That's what he is. When you start Teddy, you have no shot. You're done. It's over. You're starting a jag at quarterback. And you know what? Teddy can handle being a backup. So you're not insulting him or not. He got his check, dude. That's all. It's not like anybody looks at him like, oh my God, you've got to start Teddy. At least with Cam, there's a chance there. Even though I don't believe in Cam as a passer, he still has the talent that Teddy Bridgewater never, ever had. So Cam Newton could make a couple of throws because he's an athlete. Cam Newton can run because, my Lord, he's built like Adonis. So you have a chance with Cam Newton. You have zero shot with Teddy Bridgewater. That's the difference. And I don't believe in either guy, but at least I know one guy is blessed. He's got talent. It may not be fine-tuned as a passer, but he's got talent. He can make throws that Teddy can't make in his dreams. Cam Newton can wait for a guy to break on a 20-yard out, and he's about 3 inches from the sidelines, and that's when he throws the ball, and it gets there before he's out of bounds. Teddy has never had that luxury, my friend. So that's where I would completely disagree with you. Teddy Bridgewater is a backup. He is Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's what he should be, and that's how he should be treated. You start the young guy. Hey, be ready. You're the veteran. If we need you, we really appreciate it. Help the kid along. Teach him. Bop, bop, bop. That's it. That's what I would do with Teddy. Starting him, you're pretty much waving the white flag. It's over. It's over. I wouldn't sign free agents in the NFL unless the free agent would put the team over the top like a true all-pro. Drafting is how it becomes a Super Bowl contender. I agree with you on that. Oh, if your excitement level for the Fins upcoming season is a 10, what is the level for UM this year? 3? Something like that? It's all Manny's fault. I don't believe in Manny Diaz at all anymore. And this year is like the final year that I will give him a chance to prove me wrong now. It's like I was wrong, and now I need to be proven wrong again. Because I wanted Manny. I thought Manny was the perfect fit. But 2 years in, I'm wrong, dude. Manny's not good. Manny hasn't shown me jack. So now I'm like at a point where I don't believe in Manny anymore. And this, for me, this is the final season that I need to see something from Manny. This is the last chance I give him. But at the moment, I have almost zero hope that Manny Diaz is the guy to run a football program like the University of Miami. Maybe he's better at Northeastern State, Missouri, or Temple, or something like that, right? Southern Louisiana, Texas University or something. I don't know. I mixed up 2 states and a junior college, like, you know what I'm saying? I got to be proven. I have no hope for the Canes pretty much, and it's all Manny Diaz. I have seen a team that is so unprepared from one week to another. I've watched them lose to lesser teams. I've watched them struggle against lesser teams to beat them. It's the embarrassing performances I've watched. I've watched players celebrating on the sidelines, dancing like idiots during a loss. I just, the stuff that I've watched, I just don't see it, man. I don't see players that are dogs on that team. I don't see it. I don't see nasty junkyard dogs that want to go on the road and steal your lunch and purposely embarrass you in front of your alumni and the students. I have not seen those guys. Those guys with incredible mental toughness that can overcome almost anything. I don't see it. And again, I hope I'm wrong again this time. I wasn't looking forward to being wrong the first time about Manny Diaz. I thought he was the guy, but I was wrong. I'd love to be wrong now that maybe I gave up too soon on him. I'm terrified of the game against the Crimson Tide because it can be such an ass whooping that it might end up becoming an embarrassing situation for him and for the team when it's all said and done, that he might end up, you might end up losing the team confidence-wise and everything. And then remember how in years prior you would lose that Florida State game and then it would, compound and all that good stuff? Yeah, just crazy stuff. All right, we are waiting for Michelle Kaufman to give us a ring so we can talk a little Inter Miami. Big O, I as well wanted Manny as a head coach, but if he doesn't work out, who do you think they may hire to replace him, or would you like for them to replace him? I would love for them to replace him, but let me prepare you for what's going to happen, Samuel. Okay? The current athletic director is the guy that hired Manny. There is no way in hell Blake James fires him in year 3. He might put him on double secret probation in year 4, but I don't believe they make a change till year 5, if they make a change. So even if he doesn't work out this year, I can see them doing it another year, and then 2 years from then, they fire him. Either they fire him right before his 5th season or sometime during his 5th season or right after his 5th season. Because if he fails now, you can kind of start the hot water thing next year, and extension isn't going to be talked about. And then the 5th season comes around, and then there's less money on the table. Remember, they paid $4 million to acquire him, which is something that the University of Miami does not do. So now they will never pay $4 million again to acquire another guy, probably because of what happened with him. And who do they get? Oh, man, I don't know. That I have not followed it enough to know who they can afford to come here and who would be the realistic one that you can try to bring in to finally change the program. And we'll talk to Manny Navarro about that tomorrow, but Manny will also give you his theory, which I'm with him on this one. And it's something that I wasn't really thinking about it that much. Kind of like the 5 offensive line draft picks that I've told you about that most people aren't thinking about, where they're assuming that all 5 guys are going to hit, right? But Manny said that you should hire somebody that already has experience turning a program around. If that's the case, that's going to be really expensive. So that's why you've got to be careful with that one. All right, let's get to a little football. Let's talk a little Inter Miami. Michelle Kaufman, as always, is ready to join us now and talk a little Inter Miami football. She's been busy breaking news and educating us too along the way because I first of all, good afternoon, Michelle. But I had no idea Robbie Robinson was eligible to play for Chile. And when I found that out, one, I was pissed. Nothing against Chile and the fantastic people of that country. I got nothing against them. It's just, Inter Miami's season has sucked up until the last couple of weeks here with this streak. And I don't want to lose Robbie, who I think there's a domino effect to losing him that I think it affects everything, including Higuain. So that's kind of where I was frustrated when you dropped the knowledge on us and the news.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, he is, his mother is from Chile, and he grew up watching the Chilean national team on TV. He grew up, as a big fan of the Chilean team and of the United States team. His dad is American. His mom is from Chile. He does not speak Spanish.
Salas was the big guy. Salas was the big guy, right? A couple of years back for Chile.
Yeah, no, they have some good players, Sanchez and Salas, and they've had some good players. So they've had his eye on him for quite some time, for about a year. Actually, last year they were interested in him, but then, when he sort of struggled during his rookie year and he went home and came back and didn't really play much, they didn't call him in. But then this year, he's obviously thrived with the new leadership of the team, and he's gained a lot of confidence. And, his main thing has been his maturity, just as far as going from being a college player. When you think about who he's playing with on this team and who he's going to play with now on the Chilean team, this is a kid who less than 2 years ago was playing college soccer for Clemson, and that's a big jump to go from college soccer to being the first round draft pick and playing with, guys who have played in World Cup before. It's been an adjustment for him. He's a young player, a college player. He's not like a Lewis Morgan guy who came, who's been in the pros since he was a teenager. This is a kid who went to college, had to adjust to the pro life, and now he's going to have the biggest test. It's going to really be a huge test for him to go to Santiago, Chile, and play in the first game they play is against Brazil on September 2nd. They play against Brazil. So, Robbie Robinson, our little Inter Miami Robbie, he's not little, but, our young Inter Miami Robbie Robinson is going to be out there with the big boys in Brazil against Chile in Santiago. Then from there, they go to Quito to play against Ecuador, which is a tough place to play. And then from there to Barranquilla to play against Colombia at Colombia. So this guy in the next 10 days, he's going to play for Inter Miami tomorrow night against Orlando. Then he'll leave on Saturday for Santiago, and then he will miss, he's going to miss the Cincinnati game. It is possible he'll be back for the home game against Columbus. It depends on the COVID protocol of him returning. He'll be returning from Colombia. So depending what MLS rules are at that moment, he will be returning. And the same with Pizarro. If Pizarro ends up, he's expected to be on the Mexican team. It's going to be the same schedule. He will play tomorrow night in Orlando, coming off the MLS All-Star game last night. He's flying back today to meet the team in Orlando. So those two guys will be available tomorrow, and then they will go with their national teams. They will miss the Cincinnati game for sure, and then possibly the Columbus game based on I know you're shaking your head because the team has been on a roll. I just wrote my preview for tomorrow's game, and do you know that they have scored 12 goals over the last 7 games? They've scored 12 goals after scoring a total of 1 over the previous 6 games before that. So they're definitely on a roll. And, a big reason, 3 reasons are: 1, the return of Robbie Robinson. No question. The return of Robbie Robinson coincided with this run. Also, Pizarro finally getting out of his funk also during this run. And then the addition of Indiana Vassilev, who scored 2 of those goals. Those 3 guys, Rodolfo and Robbie Robinson and Vassilev, has scored 7 of the last 8 goals for Inter Miami. 7 of the last 8 goals over 4 games have been from those 3 guys. And 2 of them are going to be missing for 1 or possibly 2 games in a period when this team needs every point. They're only 5 points away from the playoff line with 2 games in hand. So they've only played 19 games. Most of the other teams have already played 21 games. So they have 2 games in hand. They're 5 points from reaching 7th place. So they're really in a very critical run right now. And if they can continue the momentum that they're on, that they've been on, they actually have a decent chance to make the playoffs. But if they, have a couple of losses and whatever and slide, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because you're going to be missing these guys in the next couple of weeks here for a couple of games. I almost feel like this is a must win on Friday night, that you got to go to Orlando and try to get a win with your guys now that you have them. And then maybe that helps you, and maybe you can keep your heads above water, until they come back, because we are coming down the final stretch of the season to try to make the playoffs. That's the one thing that I don't want to call it a must win, but I'm kind of feeling like, man, you got to try to win that game tomorrow night in Orlando. It would be really, really nice if you're able to do that before they take off.
Yeah, and they've actually played, Orlando's a very good team. Orlando's in 2nd place. I mean, Orlando is in 2nd place in the East and 6th place overall in the entire league. So they're a very, very good team. But if you look strategically this year, Inter Miami has played them twice, and one game they lost 2-1, and that was here. And then the game they played up there, which was only 3 weeks ago, they tied 1-1 with them up there.
Right.
So they've actually played them very close both games this season. Orlando's very good. They have Nani, he's always a threat. He's really the one who almost single-handedly beat them in the the 2-1 game. He had a goal and a beautiful assist in that game. So it's going to be a tough game. It's up there, but they're in second place. So they're feeling pretty comfortable, I'm sure, in second place, whereas Miami is really desperate and hungry for the win. So maybe that'll motivate them. But I agree with you that they need to get what they can while they have Robbie and a energized Pizarro in the lineup. They will be missing Gregory, which I didn't really realize until this morning. He has yellow card accumulation.
Really?
Yellow card accumulation.
Wow, I didn't realize. Wow, I didn't
I
realize
didn't realize that either. But so I guess he's going to be out. But and that's a big loss because he does a lot. You don't even notice sometimes because maybe the stats or whatever, but he cleans up a lot of messes. When some other guys miss their mark, Gregory's back there to save the day a lot, and he's the captain. So, but I was informed this morning, I'm going to check on it, that he has yellow card accumulation, will be out. I guess he got a card in the last game. So anyway, it's going to be a tough match. They've had a week to get ready, after playing 3 games over 8 days or whatever. They've had a week now, which sometimes is good and bad, because they've had a week to get healthy and everything. But on the other hand, they've had a week to kind of forget that feeling, that role that they've been on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
All right. So this, I got to ask you, because the cynical one in me, being in this business long enough, with the Pizarro run, is the front office thinking, great, this is awesome, now he's finding his groove and he'll be a great addition for us from here on out? Or they're thinking, great, he's finding his groove, maybe now we can sell him in the offseason?
I think both of those could be true. If they are going to move one of their DPs, it's not going to be Gonzalo. It would be Blaze or Rodolfo. And
I don't think anybody will take Blaze right now at that salary and the way he's playing. Although he's played a little better lately, but it's been kind of uneven, and that's why he got benched and everything. But Pizarro, if you can score, maybe even a Mexican team will finally step up.
Right. Well,
the fact that
the fact that MLS, put him on the MLS All-Star game, which, honestly, he has had 2 good games, but it's not really a full season body of work there that got him to the MLS All-Star game. I think he got there because he's Mexican and Chicharito and Carlos Vela were injured, and it was in LA, and the MLS team wanted to have a Mexican player on its team. So, he has had a good run the past, 3 games, and he got called up to the MLS All-Star game, which was, that's something that's on his resume now. He is an MLS All-Star. Maybe that raises his price tag or, raises his resume, his profile. The fact that he's playing well, the fact that he's likely going to be called to the Mexican national team right now for the World Cup qualifiers coming up. So he's a guy, you're talking about a national team player, an MLS All-Star, whatever, a late addition, but he's an MLS All-Star in the books. And he is on the Mexican national team. So I would think for sure a Mexican team would be interested in him when he's in good form. And, Phil Neville was saying yesterday that the real change for him was scoring the first goal that he scored, because he said that up until then he was very down on himself because he judges himself based on goals and assists and big performances. And even though he had, made some good plays or whatever, unless he's scoring goals and in the spotlight, he's not happy. So now he's been scoring goals. He's really in the spotlight. He got lots of social media attention. He went to LA. He got to do all kinds of photo shoots. He got to do a million interviews with the Mexican media. So, in his own words, Pizarro said last week that he was feeling unimportant. He was feeling unimportant and irrelevant, basically. Now he feels important again. His ego is back in check. He's feeling important. He's scoring. He's been on the front page of the Miami Herald. He's been all over social media. He got to pick to the All-Star game. So anyway, he's back to feeling good about himself. And he's the type of player that he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And, you can see when he came off the game the other day, he was pissed. And that was an issue. He had to have a long talk with Phil Neville after the game because he didn't even go over and shake Phil's hand. He didn't shake Vasilev's hand. He was upset that he was taken out of the game, even though he had scored 2 goals. He wanted to score another one. He didn't want to come off. He wanted to stay on. So, this is the kind of player he is. He's not the only guy in the world who's like that, but he is that type of player. And, Phil Neville has been trying to preach to him that it's a team game. Hey, I started you. You played 67 minutes, whatever. You've scored 2 goals. Now let's let Indiana come in, who has also scored 2 goals over the last couple of games and did not get to start. So, Phil Neville, now that some of these players are coming, stepping up, he's having to make some tough decisions because he has more players that are stepping up, but that's a good problem to have.
Not that he's going to get coach of the year or anything like that, or that he deserves it, but I got to say, he's done a hell of a job of this. He was handed this, and they've tried to tweak the roster, which they have by adding a couple of people. But I got to give him a ton of credit for having the patience and finally figuring it out and at least finding the style that fits this team. Because I kind of call them a gritty team. That's what they are. They're not a superstar-laden, flashy, big-time offensive team. They're not a dominant, possessive type team. But they have found a way to win games, and they've found a way to play some pretty sturdy defense overall to kind of keep themselves in it. And I got to give Neville a lot of credit for all of that.
Yeah, he also changed, the other thing, in addition to the 3 keys that I mentioned before, the other thing, which I mentioned in my story today too, is that Neville decided to switch to 3 men in back instead of 4. When he did that with 2 wings on the outside, with Kieran Gibbs and Lewis Morgan as wing backs, and then 3 in back instead of a flat 4 in back, ever since that change happened, the offense has also improved quite a bit. And we talked to Leandro Pires about it yesterday. And he said that the team, that he feels that the guys in back are much more comfortable with this formation. He personally is. He said because there's just so many more options for passing and for creating diamonds and triangles. We were talking about field geometry. And he said that, with having only 3 players in back and 2 wing backs, that they're able to create a lot more short passes and a lot more, shapes, diamonds and triangles and whatever to get the offense going from the back. And that at the beginning of the season, he said they were running a lot more without the ball than with the ball. And now the ball is at their feet a lot more. And he feels like Gonzalez Pires said that he feels like, the offense is so much better under this formation than the way it was before. And he said he likes to play vertical. He's always liked to play vertical. He doesn't like to ever make horizontal passes or even, he likes to go forward. And his first option when he gets the ball is always to look forward. And he had 2 assists in the last game. Of the 3 goals that were scored against Toronto, 2 of them were assists from a defender, from Gonzalez Pires. So the defense is also contributing to the offense. And one more thing is that the goalkeeper he's very good with his feet. His hands, he's had a couple of slip-ups, okay? He has had a few balls slip through or where he bobbled or whatever, punched it out, and then they kicked it back in on the rebound. But he does help offensively because his passing is very, very good, which the coaches and Chris Henderson have pointed out on numerous occasions, that you know, his passes are very, very good and very accurate, and he has a really strong leg. So, you know, I think he's contributed. I think that John McCarthy actually maybe was more shorthanded, to be honest, maybe made a lot of big saves earlier in the season. They picked this guy, I think, because of his footwork and the way he can, it's like having an 11th field player when you have a guy who can make a really long pinpoint pass to a midfielder from the goal box. So I think all of those things contributing together have helped this team get, you know, 12 goals over the last 7 games. But Robbie Robinson is a big key, And I will be really curious to see how he does in Chile. Hopefully he will not get injured, because these are some do or die games in very tough situations. So I'm going to be really curious to see, you know, how much he plays and how he plays and how he handles it, because it's, you know, it's going to be a big challenge for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a great experience for him, no doubt about it. All right, if you want to keep up with everything going on with Inter Miami, you got to follow Michelle Kaufman on Twitter at Kauf Sports. She's breaking news all the time and keeping you updated on everything Inter Miami, La Rosa Negra. They will take on Orlando City tomorrow on the road. Michelle will be covering it. Michelle, as always, thank you for taking some time. I'm sure we will catch up, and let's hope the boys can pick up a big road victory tomorrow with a full squad.
All right. Take care. Bye.
You got it. Be good. Thank you. There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman. We love it. All right. Let's see if they could get it done. I did you guys see this story from Jake Paul? Because I thought it was actually a trip. I did not know that this was going on. You know, the Jake Paul, Tyrone Woodley fight is going to happen. Now, listen, I'm not necessarily a big fan of this kind of stuff, but he made a bet with Tyrone Woodley that they would get a tattoo of the other person if they lost. And so if you haven't seen it yet, let me show you the video, because it's I do have the video of Jake Paul of his Instagram page, and there it is, his Instagram page. Let me crank it up for you here to make sure. Okay, here we go. Do I have it? How come I'm not hearing it? Interesting. What did I do? Y'all
think I should do it?
Oh, this guy has no fucking confidence.
Bet.
Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Can we shake on it?
So there was the press conference.
There we go.
If I beat you, you have to get "I love Jake Paul" tattooed on you. But if you beat me, I get "I love Tyrone Woodley" tattooed on me, and you have to post it on your Instagram feed. Deal or no deal? Are you confident or not?
What y'all think?
Bro.
Y'all think I should do it?
Bro, this guy has no fucking confidence.
Bet.
Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Can we shake on it? There we go.
If I beat you, you have to get "I love Jake Paul" tattooed on you.
Now, that makes me want to watch the fight. There is a tattoo artist that is flying over for the fight. She apparently has done tattoos for Jake or something like that. So the TMZ interviewed her and everything. So she's actually flying over, and right after the fight ends, whoever loses has to get that tattoo. Now think about this, okay? You're in a pissed off mood because you just lost a fight. Then somehow or another, you've got to find the composure to stay in a chair so a tattoo artist then tattoos the guy that tattooed you in the ring. That's crazy. That's a mental challenge for any fighter that's ever existed, period. Because usually they get pissed off, they get to go, drink or go have sex or go smoke a cigar or whatever, and they get to relax and try to get their minds off of it. I don't have any tattoos. I've never been a tattoo guy, but I would imagine that that's going to take a couple of hours, right? Doing that tattoo. So all of a sudden, and then you got to post it on your IG. Woodley, he needs to win big time. Now, here's the question I have for those of you out there that are watching or listening on the podcast. You can give me your answer at BigORadioShow@yahoo.com. And yes, I answer my email, by the way, because some of you out there were actually surprised that I answered you back. It's like, wow, you really answer. And it's like, yeah, dude, of course. I mean, I may not be able to answer every damn question in the book, but I try my best. But here's the thing. Here's what I would ask you. Okay, so both of them are going to go through with it. They're going to fight. The loser not only loses, but then gets tattooed the opponent's name and that he loves that opponent, right? How long before they get a tattoo to cover that tattoo? That's the question. I almost get the feeling that Jake Paul would keep it around a little longer, but some tells me that Woodley, after getting that and posting it and losing, I don't know, maybe another month or two later, he's going to try to cover it up with another tattoo. Crazy stuff. Get that thing going. Holy moly. By the way, for those of you that are, thinking about stripping down for your OnlyFans account and they were going to banish it, guess what, folks? No longer. OnlyFans is going to keep their porn site up, or portions of their porn site up, and allow people, which I got to tell you something. One, OnlyFans realized that they were going to lose a boatload of money by doing that, because I'm sure a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Come on, let's be honest, right? A lot of people are probably doing this. There's a lot of people also making a living from this. I mean, there's stories all over the place. School teachers and bankers and lawyers and this and that, and they're all giving up their jobs. What's that Fox host? Was she a golf host? I think it was. And she's super fine. And she ended up giving up her golf job for Fox or the Golf Channel or something. I forgot what it was. And she went and does an OnlyFans account, and she makes 20 times more than she should. Look, I'm the guy that says you should have legal brothels, not just in Nevada, in every state. There should be legal brothels. Controlled by the state, everybody tested, all of that. I think you would have less sexual crimes out there. And I think that OnlyFans stuff helps people. Man, not everybody gets laid. Not everybody's married. Not everybody has a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And people need to get off a little bit. And they're not hurting anybody, bro. And if they want to pay to watch some woman or some guy, whatever, do there, then let them do it, man. That's their prerogative. As long as you're not hurting kids, as long as you're not hurting human beings, as long as you're not hurting animals, what the hell do we care? Let them make their money, man. If you're lucky enough that you can whatever do it because you're blessed with the body and the looks or whatever, go for it, man. Knock yourself out. And if you're lonely and this is the only way that you can get some kind of, contact action, whatever, God bless you, bro. I've never had a problem with that. I never understand why people do. You're home, you've got your wife, your husband, whatever, you're happy. You got your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you're happy, but that's not the case for a lot of people out there, man. There's a lot of lonely people out there. And if they need an OnlyFans account to get them by, well, then have fun, man. Knock yourselves out. If only Deshaun Watson knew about OnlyFans. Yeah, but see, the problem with Deshaun Watson, he wants an interactive OnlyFans. He wants one that can touch and feel. and can play with his back door, of course, because that's one of his requests. What can I tell you? The dude's a little twisted. Big O, how about a bi-weekly segment with the U.S. men's national team progress from a national writer? And as I told you on the text, I like that idea. I think that's actually a good idea. I really do. And folks, if you don't like soccer, that's fine. You don't have to announce it on the damn chat machine that you're, I can't stand the sport. I'm going to check out. It's like, come on, man. The host might be watching the chat board, the other host that's on there, the reporter. So if you don't like baseball or hockey or soccer and, just keep the comment to yourself. Step away if you have to step away. And if you come back, then that's great. I love you for it. And if you don't, I love you either way. Have a little awareness about that. You know what I'm saying? Because that person that's being interviewed might have the YouTube channel up and they might see the chat board. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of insulting to them. So just, I get it. Listen, I bring on a hockey guest, I turn some people off. I bring on a baseball guest, I turn some people off. I bring on a soccer guest, I turn some people off. I get it. Not everybody likes those sports. They're kind of niche in their own way. I understand all of that. Have a little common decency. Think about the other person that's on there. What if they have the chat board and it's like, it's not a good look for them. You know what I'm saying? So let's be nice. I get it. You don't like hockey, you don't like soccer, you don't like baseball. That's cool. Turn it off, man. That's all. Shut it down. Come back later. Pop in, pop out. Nobody knows. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. You're not insulting anybody. Things like that. I'm just let's look out for each other. That's kind of what we're trying to do right now with the masking and everything. We're trying to look out for each other. All right. Chris Adams says, rep the 305, but don't listen to the haters. Ian from Brooklyn says, I stopped doing that, and I kind of like the information on soccer. Oh, there you go. I mean, some of you can learn, man. Give it a chance. Give hockey a chance. Give baseball a chance. Give soccer a chance. Listen, I know I'm a weirdo. I like everything. I can watch MMA and I can watch boxing and I love baseball and I love hockey and I love soccer. I watch it all, man. And obviously football and basketball is, it is what it is. Just mute it if you don't like the segment. Geez, I mute every time interviews shuffleboard retirees. Exactly. I mean, those shuffleboard retirees, you already know all their moves. So I get it. I'm with you there. By the way, can I give Gene Simmons a little bit of respect at least? Because none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. Sometimes, remember what I was talking about, when you're commenting about, I'm out, I can't stand baseball. I'm out, I can't stand hockey. I'm out, I can't stand soccer. And, kind of keep it, So Gene Simmons probably said something that he regrets, even though he's actually 1,000% right, but he should have said it. And I give him credit for understanding and apologizing because in his situation, he should. And this is what I mean. Simmons, co-founder of KISS, has apologized to Van Halen singer David Lee Roth for comments he made in a recent Rolling Stones interview. Simmons said he was ashamed for having hurt Roth's feelings. When asked whether or not Roth would again be opening up for KISS on the band's current tour, Simmons said the singer would not be joining them on the road. He then implied Roth was no longer the artist he once was. It bears noting that during Dave's heyday, nobody did what he did, Simmons said. He was the ultimate frontman. Not Robert Plant, not Rod Stewart, nobody. He took being a frontman way beyond anything, and then I don't know what happened to him, something, and you get to modern day Dave. I prefer to remember Elvis Presley in his prime, seeing lips back in Memphis, doing all that. I don't want to think of a bloated, naked Elvis on the bathroom floor. So basically, he's saying that Roth is done, cooked, history in the archives, which, by the way, Roth is history, cooked, done in the archives. His voice is dog shit. He should not be touring at all. When I have gone to the last couple of Van Halen concerts while Eddie was still alive, people were telling me, so you're going to Van Halen? Yeah. And I go, I'm going to go see Eddie. Because I knew David Lee Roth couldn't sing for shit. So I wasn't impressed by his voice. I didn't really care. I really just wanted to see Eddie jam. Is really what it was all about. And I would make sure I had my tickets on the right side of the arena, wherever I was at, because I wanted to be on Eddie's side, all of that stuff. It was mainly for Eddie, why I wanted to see Van Halen. And if they would have toured again, I would have gone to see Eddie, not David. It's the same thing as Motley Crue. You don't go see Motley Crue anymore thinking that you're actually watching Vince Neil. He's done. Now, Simmons was right about this. The greatest frontman in the history of rock is David Lee Roth. Nobody did it better. Ever. Not even close. There is no discussion. The greatest frontman I have ever seen in my life in rock and roll. Gene Simmons is right. It's David Lee Roth. And let me tell you, he plays with a great one in Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley's a great frontman. Always has been. But he's nobody is in David's class. All by himself. Greatest frontman. I've said that for years. He's right. Now remember, Gene Simmons discovered Van Halen. He signed them on to the label. All right? So Simmons has a lot of time. So, he has a closer relationship, and he probably should not have said it. So he then was talking with Us Weekly and said he was sorry that he had never intended to insult Roth. He also noted that by contrast, he had seen Van Halen at a club in the 70s and signed them to his own production company and produced some of their first work. He goes, I read the quote, and somehow the way they put it together, Simmons explained, I think I said something like, nobody touched David in his prime, not Plant, not Jagger, not anybody. He was the king. And then somehow there was a segue to Elvis bloated on the ground and fat and naked. I don't want to see that. I wasn't talking about David, but that doesn't matter. What matters is I hurt David's feelings, and that's more important than the intent. So I sincerely apologize for that. I didn't mean to hurt his feelings. It reminds me of the guy that gets out of a truck and says, hey, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to run you over. Well, what the hell's the difference? You've run me over. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, in his case, he should have apologized because he has a different tie to David than most of us. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of, for us, BSing, me as a host, you as a fan, we can all talk about, David's done, Vince Neil's done. You go see David Coverdale for Whitesnake, done. You know what I'm saying? It's just, there are certain bands already at this point where I can tell you, it's just, you don't want to go see, or I'll warn you ahead of time, hey, if you're going to go see Whitesnake, just want you to know, David Coverdale can't do the things he used to do at all, not even close. If you go see Motley Crue, Vince Neil sucks. He's dead. Basically dead. Okay? And David Lee Roth, his voice was never great, but it had a great sound back in the day. He can't even come close to that sound anymore. That bluesy sound that he had was awesome. He could do some kind of a falsetto that was kind of a roughish falsetto, but it sounded good. It sounded, cool with that music. He can't do any of that anymore. But I give him credit for at least realizing it and apologizing. All right, folks, I am done. I'm history in the archives. I want to thank all of you out there that tuned in. Remember to please smash the hell out of the like button if you're listening to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube before you get out, please give us a smash there on the like button. We will see you tomorrow, of course. Manny Navarro, Ira Winderman, Omar Kelly, baby. A loaded program tomorrow. So we will see you same time, same place, same bat channel. I love you all.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.